Installation. Let's play. Retro waiver.
This is a pretty familiar crew here, but I'm joined by the lovely Cute Noob and Wumby. How are you two doing tonight?
Pretty good. I think we're both really, really excited to watch these two teams. I know Noxious is in a very, very high. 6-0 is a pretty good number to
Hmm.
be in, especially heading off into the playoffs. So for them to be here going up against Nameless has a lot to prove.
Absolutely, Wumby. We had a bit of a late night with the VRS Grand Finals last night, but some more
Mhm.
Valorant tonight. How you feeling about these two teams we're about to see?
Um, I'm just happy to be here. I
Good.
love Valorant.
Uh,
I love it. I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here.
It's exciting stuff. I mean, we might not get to see Pearl this split.
Mhm.
It'll be coming in fall, but I know it's always a good time here on VLS with these teams that we get to see, the skill level that we get to see coming on out. And oh yeah, expecting some just clean Valorant across the board for us tonight. But as I did mention, only 2 weeks to go until we hit that playoff mark, week 8, week 9, and then boom, there we go. I did want to just mention briefly with there's a slight little change to the format of playoffs because it will
mm,
be the round of 12 coming in here with all the teams we have here. And then quarterfinals, both of those are actually going to be best of threes. And then best of fives will kick off for semifinals and grand finals. So it'll ease, I think, maybe some of these teams into that format because best of fives I've seen a few times hit those teams like, oh my gosh,
mhm,
it's a long series.
a
But
lot.
I would say at this level, the teams we're going to be seeing have really been bringing the gas, and that's what I'm expecting here tonight. But we can take a peek at how these teams have been doing, where we're sitting right now, and who is actually going to be making it to playoffs when that final day does come in a couple moments. So we can go ahead and bring those standings up on the board.
Whew,
And yeah,
whew.
we're seeing some big numbers. You did mention
Mhm.
Noxious. We will come over to Group B in just a few moments, but yeah, we got ODG there right at the top, 7-1. Absolutely crazy, unless it's been updated for a second. Yes, it has. Well, between the time I went to get the graphics and come back to the
Oh
master sheet,
man.
it is not 6-1. They are 7-1 actually at the top of the standings there. I do believe the rest look about correct, except for INF there at 3-4. But yeah, VEXC, who we saw a few weeks ago, still looking incredibly strong there at 6-2. CG
Mhm.
close on their tails, pretty dang even, I would say, except with a minor head to head. Also 6-2. HCE 5-2. INF 3-4. It does say 3-3 on screen, but it is in fact 3-4 on the master sheet. PLX down there 2-4, along with FLN, who are tied with them, and unfortunately NG TTR right at the bottom of the barrel there. But over in Group B, we are in fact going to see one of these first place teams tonight. NXS. That is a tongue twister if you try that one 10 times fast. Noxious is 6-0 currently right now. We're going to see their overall record in a few moments coming up, but they have been on an absolute spree along with Akuma sitting at 6-0 in that first place spot. So again, this win for Noxious is going to be big if they can secure that first place seed going into the round of 12. It does give you some I believe a slight little playoff edge. Either way, that first and second place seed will be getting an auto qualify into the quarterfinals. So if you're Noxious or Akuma, probably just holding hands along the finish line there, say, hey, you know what? We get to move past that round of 12. We don't have to worry
Mhm.
about getting eliminated there, and we're feeling good. But for the rest of them below that, UCD and NE 4-2, 3-3 apiece. Victorum is tied there with NE at 3-3. I believe we have Fluid, if I'm going to say that right. Yeah, Fluid Gaming at 3-4, CSL 2-5, and TTZ LZ also down there at the bottom. So for some of these teams, unfortunately, math is a thing, and we were talking about the difficulties of math last night. However, there are a certain few cases and a certain point in time where it's like, okay, how are we going to actually make it into playoffs? Can we make it to playoffs? Or are we just looking for games to get those upsets to pull a few of those top teams down? And same goes for those teams sitting at the very top. What are we going to do to make sure we secure our seed? Are we going to make sure to actually get into playoffs? Because I know it is top six from each group that are going to be moving on. And right now, a couple of those teams over in the 6 and 7 place spot, really close with each other. Every single game is going to matter in the next little bit. So best of luck to them. But for tonight, Both Noxious and Nameless Esports are sitting, I would say, rather comfortably in their playoff positions right now. Obviously, for Nameless Esports, you don't want to be in a position that you might potentially risk it or fall into that sixth place spot where it's like, oh no, we might have to do tiebreakers, or it goes down to head to heads, which at that point, it's the whole season culminating together. So very excited to
Mhm.
see where this one goes. But for tonight, as I have mentioned a few times already, Noxious versus Nameless Esports. Both these teams are boasting quite impressive numbers, and we have actually been able to take a look into specifically how these teams have been doing so far. And I would say it's always a joy getting to go and look at these VLS teams and be like, oh my God, they're all cracked. They're so good at everything they do. Both KDAs for these teams right up there, 1.9 for Noxious, 1.54 for Nameless Esports. And again, these are average team stats. So this is across the board between all their players. Plants, something I did notice, this split's coming back from the VLS. A lot more planting going on, which is quite interesting to see. And I do like the fact that it's not a team deathmatch every single game. We are playing, to more of the objectives. Super fun to see. Diffuses, Noxious definitely have a little bit of an edge on that one, 3.00 over the 1.89. And then combat score, again, both these teams are right up there in terms of their abilities out there on each of these maps. But the one little caveat, the one little, going through the entire list, I'm like, looking good on both sides, looking good on both sides. While Nameless Esports 6-5, that's not a bad record. They're doing all right. They've picked up some wins. They've dropped a couple maps here and there. Pretty even on the season, I would say. However, for Noxious, they have been on a freaking tear, 12-2 so far. They've only dropped 2 maps. They have not dropped a series, sitting still 6-0. So this is going to be a huge team for Nameless Esports to go up against. And if they can find some footing, if they can find some sort of angle here, what is that going to look like? Maybe a couple question marks over to Mike Casterson. How do these teams that, maybe middle of the pack teams, what is the game plan going into such a powerhouse like we've seen in the past there where Victorum was that big number 1 seed in Group B last split. Now we got Noxious and Akuma. What is the game plan? Cute New, we'll start with you. A couple ideas on what this Nameless Esports can do.
So, I mean, for Nameless Esports, this is a very, very important game. You mentioned it before, which is it's going to determine whether they're going to be staying at that 4th seed or whether they're going to be dropping all the way down to possibly the 5th or even 6th seed. That's even like putting them at a really weird place, depending on how Fluid does today as well. So this might even knock them out of the playoffs. So this is important, super massively important if they want to make it into the playoffs. It's to already put that stress on them, and they should be feeling it, right? You're 3-3. Victorum's right by you, 3-3. I don't know how they're gonna do. So you're already worried as if, which is a lot to add on to them, as well as going up against a team that's 6-0. Like you said,
Mhm.
has only dropped what 2 maps? I think we saw 12
Yep.
and 2, was it? Only 2 maps. So you not only are you like making sure that you make playoffs, then you're also going up against this huge giant. And it's just not about going up against this huge giant. You're also going up against players themselves who are phenomenal. We were just talking about this in the pre-show. The First Bloods are in favor of Noxus. They get First Bloods every single time. That means you're playing this as passive as possible if you are nameless. You're playing sight, you're constantly trading for one another, your comms need to be on point. Anything slips through the cracks, that's going to cost you a man down, and that's going to be the retake going down together and making sure that you are synchronizing. And let's be honest, sometimes that doesn't happen in Valorant. Sometimes
Mhm.
it's I'm not even gonna bring more down to here, but there could be a little bit of miscommunication. So I think there's a lot of pressure for Nameless. I think that if they are going to succeed in this specific matchup, they need to be perfect. And can perfection be accomplished is the question for them. I know I'm putting a lot of doubt into them, but I'm just going with stats, and stats never lie. How close to perfection can you be is gonna be the game for Nameless. What do you think, 1B?
You know what? I'm gonna add this as a side note. My heart is beating for them. I'm not gonna lie to you because this is a terrible game for me. I mean, to like I guess watch because I'm not as in tune with VLS as I probably should be, but
Mm,
I did take a look at the standings, and from what you guys have told, what you guys have said out not only to like as to us as a collective, but also to the audience, is that this is a very important game for Nameless, and they can't really make any mistakes against what seems to be such a perfect team, only dropping like 2 maps. I mean, I don't really for Nameless, just I guess teamwork is the dream work here. And again, we talked about the first bloods and you mentioned it, cute nude, but maybe not take direct gunfights very early on. And if you do, make sure you hit your shots because Noxious will certainly hit theirs.
mhm.
Yeah, that's not impossible to see the Cinderella stories unfold, right? Last night in
Mhm.
our VRS finals, we had the third and fourth seed duking it out for that championship. So it's never out of the possibility. And yeah, at the end of the day, team play and coordination and communication is going to be that key factor. But like you said, Q Noob, stats don't lie. We saw some of the numbers, and when you look at Rec from Noxious there with 5 first bloods per game, it does throw a little question mark. Okay, we know as Nameless Esports, they're probably thinking to themselves, we know that this player is going to be a massive threat out there. What are we going to do in terms of making sure to shut them down? Because I haven't done the actual digging into what Rec's specialty agents are, but I would assume with those kind of numbers probably going to be seeing some duelists coming out of them. So is the
Mhm.
question, do we pile on more utility? Do we just shut down these objectives and make sure that anything like that is just shut down before they can even get onto site? Or are they just that much of a crazy powerhouse? I think we'll have to see how it goes. Currently, right now, we are getting some of these players into lobby, so we will be getting going with map selection in just a short little while. But while we wait for them, while we wait for these players to come on in, I do believe it is that time again for predictions on how tonight is going to go. 1B, I don't know if you want to get the coin out again for
Nah,
for
I don't think
tonight's
so.
series, but
Nah, I
I
mean,
will. mm,
I was gonna say I don't think I need the coin for this one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
All right,
Oh,
then 1B, if
no.
you're ready, I'm going to start with you. Who's winning tonight, and in how many?
Noxus 2-0.
2-0 right off the
Mhm.
bat. No hope for
Right off the
Nameless.
bat.
Come
I'm
on.
so sorry. Like, look, I told you, bro. If I have anxiety for you, you're probably gonna lose. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And you know what? It's fair. We've seen it before. We know these top tier teams, what they can do. So 2-0 for Noxious from 1B. Cute Neo, how about yourself? What are we feeling for this
I'm
game,
gonna
this
go
series?
on that train as well. As much as I want to have hope for Nameless, um, it's a big mountain. This is like the ultimate boss, and you're praying that you get that first kill on the boss, but it's gonna take some strategy. It's gonna take some. I mean, like it could be possible that they did a lot of research, but let's be honest, Valorant is yes strategical, but also if you're hitting your shots and your aim is just crispy clean, it doesn't matter how much strategy you have. If those shots are there, then you're just gonna die. So that's
Mhm.
kind of what we're seeing for the side of Noxus is they're able to hit their shots and continue their leads. So that's my 2-0 right here. Yep, that's
All right. I may not I agree with you guys. It's gonna be Noxious. It's gotta be. This team is an absolute powerhouse, but I'm gonna give Nameless Esports the benefit of a doubt and say they can potentially take a map here off of Noxious, show us that, you know what, sometimes gods do bleed. They might not be like the Victorum run from Spring Split there, but a couple maps off. We'll see if they can do it. Nameless have had a couple of really good games as well, too. So if they can find something within them to find a game to at least get a map off and say, you know what, at the end of the day, we were able to defeat this top tier team that barely loses on at least a map. You pat yourself on the back, you take it as growth, and you take that energy into the playoffs and say, okay, we're going to keep on doing that and keep on improving. But yeah, it's hard not to pick Noxious for this matchup here tonight.
yeah.
But it's going to be a fun one for sure. I do believe just waiting on a couple more players. So specifically, talking about players, we brought up Rec. Any other players that we're going to be looking out for tonight? Any other agents specifically that we might be specifically popping up on our games this evening? Q Noob, I'll start with you.
I think Yasser is going to be one of the players to keep an eye on, bringing out the Fade on Bind. I like the introduction of Fade. I talked about this previously throughout different tournaments. The fact that Fade has been picked up so quickly after being released, and not only just that, but used effectively with the team. She has essentially taken the place of Soba for so many reasons, right? The fact that you're able to really detect your enemies with that haunt, and not just that, but you can also use your prowler in combination to make sure that you stun them and allow your teammates that capacity to really get onto the site and eliminate the opponents. Phenomenal. You get it kind of replaces that recon bolt from Soba and the shock bolts in a more effective, quicker way. And on top of that, the fact that Noxious likes to use it with combination of a Yoru was lackluster, but with the help of Fade, has been able to push onto the site, create lots of blinds. Once an enemy is stunned with that Prowler, you get really area control overall. So having those two agents be like the wheelhouse of Noxious is going to be really cool. For the side of Nameless Esports, they do also like to bring out the Yoru from Toshi is
Ooh.
Washed. So it's going to be kind of cool seeing that Yoru versus Yoru if they happen to bring them out onto this map. And then possibly, I mean, the last time Nameless played, Gil on Sage did absolutely phenomenal, and then played both Sentinel and Initiator, which is kind of like a whole different spectrum. Lets me know that Gil is someone that can really, really help the team out and fill in for whatever piece needs to be subbed in for. So Gil's probably going to be on my kind of watch list for this match. What about you,
100%,
Wombi?
right? Yeah, Wombi. Who's on your radar?
Wait,
Um,
say this way, yeah.
this one,
Just
this one. Oh
yeah.
my
I
god,
know pointing is hard.
pointing is hard, but pointing in the right direction is even harder.
Exactly.
I don't know. I agree with your sentiments on Fade. I think I said this even when the season started, before she was introduced back into Victoris in the VRS League, that she's kind of taken the place of Sova just because of
Mhm.
her recon abilities. Also with Chambers' recent changes, I've seen a lot more variety in the Sentinel picks, especially with people picking Sage more now, or even you see people pick KJ as of recently. And it's not like KJ doesn't get picked. It's just that
Mhm.
Chambers is that good that people just don't bring a KJ. Now that he suffered that little nerf to his trademarks and that he only gets one, and so he can effectively just hold only one area of the map down besides just holding two of them before those changes. It just people still pick him because I mean he's still very, very powerful. He's a very good opper,
Yeah,
but
boring.
yeah. But you do see a lot more people kind of switch around with the Sentinels. I even see Cypher getting some love, so there you
Mhm.
go. It's not a lot to talk about when it comes to controllers. I feel like everything's been said and done after the Astra nerf. Viper, even after her nerf, is still very, very, very good. But Astra, again with her nerf, you see a lot more different agents around. I've seen Omen. He's very popular. Brim, after suffering a nerf to his stems, isn't picked a lot more. Just because people don't want to pick him over Omen because Omen is a little bit more mobile as a controller and as a lurker.
Mhm.
Um, as for the duelist, you know what? In VRS Girth, we saw a lot of, I want to say we saw a lot of Neon, especially throughout the playoffs. And
Yeah.
the thing about Neon that I really, really like, of course, she's not really that viable on defense, but on the attack, she can provide you some very good entries if you're able to get a good initiator behind you to help you clear corners. Because if you're just rushing in with Neon without clearing your corners, then I don't know what the hell are you doing. So,
Mhm.
I don't know. I'm excited to see what we get for Duelist. I have not seen the Euro pick though, in VRS, which is what I'm excited for.
Yeah.
Ooh, you can
I
get
like the
tricked.
neon, right? You get the speed, you hit up these sites
Mhm.
super fast. But yeah, Yoru has been a huge one too. The suppresses, sorry, yeah, Yoru oh,
Yeah.
suppresses. Hold on,
You're yeah.
I always mix up KO and Yoru. I swear, every
Oh,
single time, mix them up. But yeah, especially the fade too has been just like so crazy seeing the creative uses of those abilities. Love seeing that stuff coming on out. But what is coming out right now is the map pick and bans. We finally get to start to see where
Ooh.
we are going this fine evening, and it does start with a bit of a breeze ban. So unfortunately, no breeze. We got it for game 5 last night, but is gone right off the board right now for the first one. Fracture's gonna be gone too, so we get the OG5s back once again, and no Pearl. That will not be. I don't believe that's gonna be enabled.
Boo.
I
Oh
know, I know. I'd love to
no.
see it,
You know what?
but
I'm really
mm,
excited. I'm really excited that they brought on Pearl because teams are now going to be forced to either ban all three of them, right?
mhm.
Breeze, Fracture, and Pearl, which is going to leave us to the boring standard ones: Bind, Haven,
Haven, Ascend.
Ascent.
Yeah, yeah.
And can we talk about how doo doo it is that they got rid of Split? Like,
Oh my god,
That
yes.
all
is
you
very
haters,
just
all
put it
you
in the
Oh my
mix.
haters.
god,
Just
yes.
put it in the
People,
mix.
you know what's crazy? People were saying, "Oh, if you like Split, you're crazy" on Twitter, and I'm just like, "Come on. Split is
They're
so
like, "You're a
good."
masochist," and I'm like, "You
Yeah.
know what? I don't even care. I thought it was a great map. I'm sorry that you could not defend or attack or do anything, all right? I'm sorry.
It's one of the OG
It was
threes,
a
right?
problem with you."
You know what? It's still I think it was one of the it might have been the very first map I ever played on Valorant was Split.
Wow.
So, that is, it's good memory, so I don't know why they just don't just put it in the mix. You got more maps, more variations, keep on drawing players in, but hey,
Yeah.
yes, so Pearl is, speaking of Pearl, just wanted to bring that up. It will be, I believe, disabled until the end of this split, just so we're not throwing
Oh,
a wrench in
no.
the gear until we see next split. So fall split, gonna see a lot of Pearl. I know, I wish. I'd
I know.
say we got on the gear.
Uh,
It's you know what, for competitive integrity, I think
yeah,
maybe for
makes
the
sense.
best on that end, but for entertainment values, give us Pearl.
Yeah,
So, yeah,
facts.
no Pearl. We, did in fact get an Ice Ban box. Split is gonna be gone next as well, and now we see the picks coming through. Oh, no, the picks are gonna be coming through in just a second because
Oh, great.
I
Okay,
was
we're gonna start off
incorrect.
with the Haven.
I was incorrect. We get a Haven map. Okay. Quite wide on this one. I've seen a little bit of variation depending on which team we see at defender or attacker. Favored on this one with
Mm,
Noxious starting on defense.
I'm
Hmm.
doing a little bit of digging here. I want to see if Noxious has
I know the calculations are
played
flying by.
Haven. Okay, so yes, Noxious has played on this map. Actually, surprise! This is one of the maps that they lost to UCD. They lost 11-13. So not like a really big gap, but definitely something to be noted. They are able to be beat on this specific map. Um, they had, I think it was, and I'm not blaming just one person, but the fact that Rec went 14 and 19, negative KDA, did have 7 first bloods though. So I don't know if that makes up for it. But the fact that you don't have your top player um, be on the top of the leaderboard with a positive KDA could have been something that was wrong for them. And it also looks like JWoww, their initiator, also didn't do too spicy on that. They went 13 and 18. So if I was nameless, I would be looking to make sure that Rec and JWoww bottom frag, and then bam, look at that. We win.
Just like that. It's
That's
just a win. Just like
it.
But, in all honesty, right, having those pregame talks with your team, having a game plan, having that battle plan, if you wanna call it that, coming into these games, right? We're gonna see that's gonna be that division between those mid-pack teams and those top tier teams is those teams that this is what we do. These are our plays. These are the angles we cover. Here's how we attack a site. And it's so crazy to watch it all unfold in real time that fast. Some of these rounds can just fly past you if you blink. So don't close your eyes for any of this ones because we do in fact have these games coming up in just a few moments. We're doing a quick couple of checks here for the servers just to make sure we're all on relatively okay ping. There's no DCs here tonight. Fingers crossed. We don't want any of that for our players as we I just want to see some clean Valorant plays. Any last thoughts, points you guys want to make before we send you off to Agent Select? Wumby, we'll start over on the other end of the desk with you.
Um, I don't feel like I have anything to say regarding any of these teams or any of the agent picks until we get into Agent Select itself. But I mean, everything was said and done before when we would talk about, oh, what could Nameless do? And that's just take everything really slowly. because if you just push really fast, you could find yourself tripping up and slipping and falling and losing. And you don't want to do that. You want to you want to keep fighting for playoffs.
Yeah. Gotta keep the dream alive. Don't let the flame die out. You gotta get every single win possible in order to make sure those dreams do stay alive. I think for Noxious, a little bit more in a comfortable spot for sure. Regardless of the results tonight, they will be going to playoffs since, again, they only have tonight and next week to play. But for Nameless, they are in fourth at the moment. It could be potentially risky if they do drop these games tonight. If they do go 2-0, at least getting a map 2 would help their overall record, which is why I got my fingers crossed for that potential prediction to come true. But Cute Noob, any final points? And then I'm going to send you off to Agent Select.
No, I'm excited. I'm ready for it. Let's go.
All right. Then we are about to get going, ladies and gentlemen, with our first map of tonight's best of 3 between Noxious and Nameless Esports. Predictions should be running around somewhere out there in the Twitchverse, so make sure you get your votes in with those channel points. Let us know who you think is going to win this first map of the night here on Haven. But Q New Wumby, I send you off to Agent Select. Have a wonderful time, and let's see some great Valorant.
Let's do it. I'm stoked. Wumpy, it's nice to have you here with me once again. We get a treat, right? We get to see this really, really good team first place against technically fourth place right now. Team compositions, are you surprised by anything that's being brought out here?
No, this seems to be very basic. The only difference that I see in terms of like the Sentinel picks is obviously All-Star for forgot the team names. Nameless Esports going okay, he was hovering over to KJ and now he's hovering over to Phoenix and I'm scared. Okay, now he's hovering over to Yoru. But I was gonna say it looked like a pretty basic lineup up until they started switching around on the duelist. KJ is a pretty decent pick on this map. Chambers is also a mainstay as well because he's really good at battling long angles combined with the Jet, both great oppers. So obviously Yasir and McLovin and the whole of Noxious is going to be depending on their gunplay a lot when it comes to the defensive side of things. And All-Star is still hovering over this Phoenix pick. Now, Noob, last night there was a Phoenix pick and it was on Haven and I kind of freaked out.
Choose your agent.
Just a little bit. Okay.
Oh.
Oh my god.
All-Star is just playing with all our emotions and everything. But something that I want to take note of is the fact that Rec isn't on the side of Noxious. If you see, we actually have a sub in, and I believe it's McLovin knee. So that means we don't have the usual duelist that Noxious is used to. They have McLovin knee on Jet, which Jet on this map, good. You know, a lot of people don't feel like the Jet nerf was actually a nerf. They feel like it was fine. I mean, especially if they're used to playing a Sentinel that requires tapping the same button twice. For example, Astra or Brimmy, anything like that. You know, you're kind of used to pressing the same button, and that's kind of what happens with that Jet dash. So it doesn't seem like a nerf to them. But what I am surprised to see is the substitution coming in, and to see whether McLovin's going to add or take away from this team's victory.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how he fits into this, fits into the lineup, fits into that duelist role, because the duelist is, I feel like, entry fragger in any type of FPS title is like probably the hardest because you're dependent on getting the kills, and if you don't perform well, then you get a lot of flag from it from a lot of people on the internet. It doesn't really matter who, and I hope McLovin does find some impact here today. He obviously has a good support system around him, especially with the whole of Noxious doing really, really good.
Cover going out.
I'm just excited to see how this game turns out. Looks to be a split take.
Oh man.
Mercy.
Yeah, a quick action to start it off. Noxious, you were saying they are a phenomenal team and they take it right to the point. They are already very strong, and as you can see, man advantage is in their favor. That's just left to 2 of these attackers. They're gonna hope to do some damage here. Right clicks are through, but so are the wall bangs. It's a blinding investment for the side of Noxious. And Ice Smelly was like, I could possibly get a blind off here, but they didn't even give him any time whatsoever and finish that first round.
Innocent Sport just ran straight into garage and got dealt with swiftly. Like that's literally my analysis. They just got dealt with by the guns. Not no utility used from Noxious Esports that I could like scout out or see, but there were some utility from the attacker side. They had a turret set up in mid, probably to cover their flank from B, but other than that, it was just a straight rush to C. And we said this, that they needed to take the pace slow. That wasn't slow whatsoever, and Noxious dealt with them.
dealt with them indeed. And now they're gonna have the weapon advantage for the side of Noxious. Flashpoint was invested as well as the recon bolt, but no information was given to them onto this mid. It's gonna be this fast plant, but as you can see, the flank already happening for the side of Noxious. It's gonna be a quick one. Yasser with Marshall gets the first WX Pa here with the stack. But make that 3. Yasser says, hey, are we battling this out for like who gets some more kills? And KO's actually the one who comes out on top with that 3K.
Flawless. The big difference, but I really did like that retake from Noxious. You know, it all started out with the breach using the aftershock, pushing those players out into the mid area, and then after that you saw the rest of Noxious kind of converge from the sides of B from C Link and also A Link itself, and then just fully take the fight, take those direct gunfights with Nameless Esports, and they just lost them. I mean, again, that's gun difference. That was the gun and a half by round compared to the eco round of Nameless Esports. But now Nameless Esports, they have some weapons of their own, rifles in fact, and they're a lot better than the half by of Noxious.
I mean, Noxious just doesn't matter. Look at this, McLovin. As I said, a sub, not looking like a sub, looking like a main roster. 4K looking for that ace, has the dash already activated in case we need to make this quick getaway. All-Star, though, not allowing that to happen. The rest of the gang for Noxious is there, ready to clean up town for that last remaining player, and free weapons, by the way.
What the hell?
So we do have a replay here coming out, I believe. Maybe, possibly. Yes, here we go. As you can see, McLovin just said, I'm going to full send it here with the help of a little blind coming out from that Omen as well. And unfortunately, couldn't get the last kill for the ace, but hey, it doesn't matter when the rest of your friends are there to clean it up.
Yeah, decided that paranoia decided, or not decided the paranoia, but that paranoia just pushed out the C1 remember that push perfectly, and then McLovin just again taking the direct gunfights and winning them in a dominant manner. That's the anti-eco, or sorry, the anti-bonus going in favor of Noxious. 3 rounds in a row, and now we see an eco round coming in from Nameless Esports. Smokes set up towards C. That 0 point going out into C as well to get some extra intel. Now they know that there is nobody else. They can just rush in and get a plant down. But we've seen the retakes happen before. But first kill goes in favor of Nameless Esports.
Yeah, Gil getting really cheeky with the Sheriff, looking for a second kill. Knows that there has to be someone right about in the corner. But the good thing about Noxious is the fact that they're always ready for the retakes here, as you can see. Wexpa already ready for that long kill and gonna be pushing onto the site. They do have a pretty good sandwich happening here as long as they do get rid of Gil, who, by the way, is in the cheekiest spot and is able to connect
Last player standing.
But unfortunately, the rest of the gang for Noxious is ready to take onto the site. Boshi with just the Sheriff clouds himself, but unfortunately isn't able to get the rest of the kills. And just like that, the dream remains alive for Noxious.
Just an unfortunate situation for Toshi. Tried to use that cloud smoke maybe to drift beyond it and maybe into a better position, but ultimately Noxious was just easily wrapped up by them. It was a good site. It was a good C push into the C site. We saw some good kills, especially from Gil, who was kind of lurking through garage. His position obviously not sniffed out. Also, a flank coming in from Wappa, especially with that turret set up from Nameless Esports. In particular, to watch for that flank in mid. I don't know if it spotted him or not, but it didn't seem like Nameless Esports reacted whatsoever to it.
Oh, I'm so excited for this. It's going to be the the fault line here to help out the Jet to peek out onto this A lobby. The recon bolt, though, denied whatsoever that action. Now they have to reposition onto the site. But hey, look at that. That's not even where the spike is. They're kind of looking to bait a little bit of a rotation coming out from Noxious, since they know that they're so quick to this rotation. But with Wexpa getting a little bit of information into this garden, it's going to say, okay, they're going to attack somewhere near this B site. And as you can see, it is going to be the aggression from Gil, who's getting pretty deep into this B site. There is a trademark to alert Noxious of the entry, as well as Ostino holding that angle. So I don't know if that's going to be a full hit onto the site. Actually, as they do, it's going to be a blind coming in from Ostino. Unfortunately, gets caught out by Toshi, and the trade off there as well. The bomb finally getting planted, and they do have the man advantage for the attack.
Spike planted.
Been planted, and now the name of the game is going to be the retake for Noxious. You see the flank coming in from the chambers. of Yasir, but whether or not he'll find somebody or whether or not he'll run into somebody, well, the answer is yes, because he'll run right into Smelly, who looks away for a quick moment, looks back. Other two players for Noxious are going to rotate through mid. Another dark cover is there to block that vision from those players. But it also gives away the position of Smelly, who gets the kill onto Yasir. That probably should have been a kill for the team, but it isn't. Blind goes out.
Last player
Players in the
standing.
retake, but there you go. All-star. Nameless
Oh,
Esports
man.
are playing this post plant so perfectly, but if the bomb detonates, they might just all lose their weapons, so they have to get out of there in time. So does McLovin, who is going to save his rifle, not even try and go for the fuser because it's way too late.
Okay. We're seeing a little bit of life coming out for the side of Nameless Esports. We like it as casters. Obviously, we want to see a little bit of action coming out in a very decisive kind of round there. Why don't you take us down as to why that was such a successful round for the side of Nameless?
Well, their initial push inside of the B site, you saw the breach not the breach utility. I'm so sorry. I thought they had a breach. My fault. But you saw they were just kind of they were really patient and waiting for some plays to come their way. Noxious eventually just kind of rotating and moving, maybe getting a little bit too antsy, moving into those line of sights that were held from Nameless Esports. And then once they got those early 2 picks, they just planted inside of the site, and they played the post plant to perfection. You had Smelly in a really good position by a link as well, watching for any flank, and he caught Yasir on it, despite giving his location away and despite not knowing that Yasir was there in the first place.
I like the change of pace that is happening here for the side of Nameless. They're kind of waiting for the aggression from Noxus to come out, but Noxus, I mean, a team that's 6-0 right now in the league, hasn't dropped a series. They know better than to get a little too aggressive. A smoke goes out for Garden, just to give a little bit of possibly a little bit of notification that, hey, if you plan to hit there, we already know. But no, look how deep Nameless has gotten into this A site. They don't know exactly the position of any of Noxious players, but they're looking to buy enough time as soon as that clock runs down. I think they're going to make this hit. As I
30
say that,
seconds
it's
left.
Toshi who gets the kill onto Wuppa. That's going to be no KO, no flashes. And Yasser has to reposition as he gets blinded and takes a shot. The lurk from Gil gets rewarded, but quickly switched off there by McLovin. And the retake's going to happen with just 3 men. And very low health on Yasser here has an operator in the hand and gets detected by that flashpoint. So we're going to have to be very careful when peeking about. The dash is ready in the hands of McLovin. Aftershock goes through, the dash in. Double Cloud gets to peek onto Toshi, but Toshi has too much health. It's going to be down. JWoww. Ooh, also goes down to All-Star as well. And just like that, we're making a little bit of progress here for Nameless.
Yeah, Nameless. My God, I just
Operator
Nameless
in the hand
Esports.
and gets detected.
Nameless Esports played that post plant so perfectly. Didn't get too aggressive, just held their angles, held their positions, especially that cross from both in hell and also across from hell as well. And also initially getting that first entry on the site, you saw the chambers being forced to rendezvous, and then after that, Gil on a really nice lurk. He only did get 1 kill, but he did disrupt the retake from Noxious Esports, and it's a very close. I wouldn't say it's a very close game, but Nameless Esports are certainly making their name known.
Oh, Noxious says making a name. We're just gonna get aggressive. This is a save round for them. And as I say that, I see a bulldog on the hands of Ostino. I hope that Ostino has enough money for the following round here, as they are in a deficit, at least economy and also player-wise. They lost 2 of their really stable players, especially McLovin, who, even though we stated a sub, has not shown any sign of being a sub. I mean, really, really good with that jet. It's going to be the alert from the side of Wuppa, who indeed is going to get caught out by that flashpoint. Does a little bit of pump shots through the smoke, trying to connect, trying to buy his team enough time to rotate over. But the lockdown gets invested here from the side of Nameless Esports to make sure that this plant goes down nice and smooth. Ostino with the long lurk is going to get met with that movement bot, so it's going to be some notification for the side of Nameless Esports that indeed... Actually, wait! Just kidding. That was a friendly... Wait, no! That was the enemy one, and it gets spotted, and Ostino needs to turn around, because Ice Belly is right behind him. down.
player
Whoopa
standing.
trying to keep the dream alive. It's Jaewoo who just has a sheriff in hand, no utility, peeks the wrong angle, and gets caught out.
Oh my god, that was really, I wouldn't even say that's really unlucky from Asino. I thought he was gonna maybe push down short, especially once that alarm bot goes through, because that tells you, hey look, somebody might swing on me, but instead he just kept marching in through short, and then once that alarm bot reactivated, it zoomed right into the back of Asino, gave away his position, and then you saw the follow-up kill. You know, it was a, I want to say that was an that was a bit of a save round as well from Noxious Esports. Some expensive investments, but they are going to full buy this round, especially with the operator in the hands of Yasu.
Yasu does have the op, but also doesn't have any shield, so I would be a little bit worried, especially with how tradable he could be. I feel like Nameless Esports has been doing such a phenomenal job at trading one another. As you can see here, it's going to be McLovin getting caught out. Yasser has to reposition. They were trying to do some type of wombo combo there together, but unfortunately that didn't come into fruition. And with that notification that there's an operator in A site, they're going to make their way downtown over to the C site, where they're going to be met with the Omen and Whoopa there in Garage. Both very healthy and a lot of util in that box pocket as well. A combo. Oh my goodness! This man has X-ray vision, gets that one and pieces out. Whoopa says, you get one, I get one, and I protect this revive because they're going to have to revive the Cloud Burst. Is going to allow for this revive to come into fruition. And just like that, Tasty's like, I'm back. Oh, Whoopa gets the wall bang through the box there and looking to reaggress. The no command gets invested a flash through, but guess what? It's Ice Melly in the smoke. Gonna push on through Ostino with the trade, and now it's a 3-on-2 as once upon a time Nameless Esports look nice and clear. Make that actually clean up town here for Gil.
Oh my god, I feel so bad for Wappa, because he activates that no command. He's looking to shut down these players inside of that C site, stop them from using any more of their utility in the post plant, but also he did pop a flash, but I felt like he popped the flash too late and he just swung right into the crossfire of Smelly, who was just right next to him. He had no intel onto that C site and no clear indication of where the players of Nameless Esports actually were. Now it's even Stevens 4-4, and well, this is like a contest.
Yeah, something we didn't quite expect. I think we were both expecting that 13-0, and I'm sorry, Nameless, and I'm so happy that you're proving us wrong here, as this following round means economy-wise, at least for the side of Noxious, is very rough. I mean, you do see enough to buy the following round, but they're going into this cycle where you're buying, then you're saving, then you're buying, then you're saving, and basically you're giving up this round specifically because you don't have that weapon advantage, unless you can take a weapon out of the hands of Nameless Esports. But the beautiful thing that I was saying earlier about Nameless Esports is they're ready to trade off one another. That's something that we talked about in the pre-show, was what's going to allow them to be successful is making sure that they have the man advantage and making sure that they continue to trade for one another. And just like that, the bomb's gonna get onto this B side. Whoopa trying to be sneaky. Ninja here gets caught out, and now the control, full map control to say the least, is in the hands of Nameless, as Ice Melly is deep into C-site, looking to get into the spawn of Noxious, gonna catch Ostino looking the wrong way and gets rewarded with the kill. The line comes on through. Gil was going to push onto the site, but said, you know what, we have the man advantage, we don't need to do anything, we just need to hold here as Yasser invests toward the force, gets killed right off the bat by Toshi, and Ice Melly with the Ninja lurks about, gets the last kill onto McLovin.
Yeah, gun disadvantage there from Noxious Esports as well, but it was really nice work from Nameless to just get inside of the site, sense the weakness inside of B, and then, you know, since they have the better guns, they have the rifles, they have the operators, they can afford to play a little bit further back and take those longer angles, because quite simply, Noxious with the lesser guns, the pistols, they can't take those gunfights. They can't take those long angles because they'd automatically lose against the Vandal and the Phantom theoretically. But 5-4, Nameless Esports. They're turning up right now, and Noxious Esports is nowhere to be found.
Nowhere. And something I want to make noted here, Wumby, is also the fact that Jaewoo is down on that leaderboard. I talked about previously them playing against UCD. UCD, I believe that is the team. And they lost that map because Rec and Jaewoo were both on that bottom of the leaderboard. So the fact that it's kind of happening here, of course, we do have McLovin Nee being the sub and is on that top, but the fact that Jaewoo is the also in that bottom might be a really good thing for the side of Nameless Esports here, as they are making their way and aggressing this A site, but they're kind of just baiting it out because the spike is actually on its way to Garage. Recon Bolt gets invested. They do have full Garage push here. Blind gets put out here, but Whoop, it's not going down without a fight. Is it stuck in this little corner? Throws the nade, trying to throw out the flash. Skill says you're not getting away. Ostino says a soul for a soul,
30
as I
seconds
am
left.
Omen. And now they do have this kind of even, actually, man advantage for the defenders as the bomb goes down onto the C site. Although the lurkabout from Toshi could get rewarded if they wait a little bit longer for this rotation from the defenders. As you can see, McLovin Nee and Jaewoo are on their way downtown to see Long. One of them gets through, but Jaewoo has been spotted, and it's going to be All-Star who has to take care of these two. If they want to continue to keep the dream alive, takes one, but Jaewoo is still alive. The Rolling Thunder in the back pocket. There is some mollies on the spike. But KJ is out, and Toshi is in for the last kill.
I'm so confused as to how Wappo stayed alive for so long. I'm not gonna lie to you. At first, I thought he was gonna like trip and fall into the nano swing, but he like stayed his position. He threw a couple of his own utility out in order to try and eventually did get dealt with. But I felt like he didn't have enough support inside of Garage. There was no flank coming through up until the point where the spike was planted and the retake was beginning to happen. I felt like maybe if there was more pressure in Garage, if there was more pressure in the backs of Nameless Esports, they would have struggled to get Garage a lot more, but I felt like that was an easy piece of cake for them since there was only one player there. And then you saw the eventual collapse from Noxious onto the C site. I mean, they did have the numbers advantage though in that retake too, but I felt like Nameless Esports dealt with that well.
Absolutely, they got the victory, and now they get to keep their economy moving. I mean, even just looking at Toshi, the Blade Storm's ready, the Hunter Fury. Any ult that matters at this point is in the hands of Nameless Esports, and also they can mess around with the economy however they want. They're gonna be aggressing this A site though, where McLovin was spotted. Still holding the cheeky angle. Oh man, gonna push out. A flash goes through, gets rewarded. Make that 21 health in a dream, moving out. Smokes at the recon bolt, but still the position has been given away. Jaewoo with the Sheriff gonna just back it up a little bit here. I am surprised though that the rest of the squad for Noxious has not made their rotation over. It's actually Ostino who's still over onto that C site. I don't know where the comms for Noxious are, but they're definitely not here right now. As the bomb gets planted, they do have the man advantage. I'm hoping that they don't take one by one after Drock is invested, and Ice Melly gets into the cheekiest corner. The nade gets tossed out, manages to kill Jaewoo, and now the lockdown is being invested for Nameless Esports here to hold off the bomb. One drops onto the side. It's going to be deep. McLovin Nee gets the kill onto one, make that two, and now it is down to Ice Smelly. Has clutched it up before, does have from the shadows. That recall bolt gives away the position, but playing in the smoke, able to connect once, and just when he thought he could get the second, McLovin Nee and Whoopa take this home, make it 1-1. Less round for that lead for Nameless.
That was a quick round. You blink and you miss everything, and I basically blinked and missed almost all of it, apart from the first like few seconds where McLovin got like an insane 2K going from A long, was supported by a flash. So that's one thing that Noxious has done correctly when it comes to like supporting each other with the utility. I did say this in the round before that last round, which was round 10, is that I feel like they rotate just a little bit slowly, and I feel like they rotate too slowly to support each other. That happened in that garage hold from Wappo where he was dealt with quickly. That almost happened on A where Nameless Esports got the plant down easily. So hopefully they figured that out and they adjusted in this last round.
Hopefully so. But Nameless is just what? No way. A collateral for Ice Smelly onto Garage that gives them that
Last
Garage
player
for
standing.
free. And just like that, the rest of Nameless clears up town onto that BNC site. It's just one person remaining, and that is going to be Yasser with the operator thinking that, hey, I could make
Spike
a
planted.
difference here if I just get one kill at a time. But hey, Nameless isn't gonna give no weapon out for free. As you can see, they're holding every single angle. And I was gonna say, the beautiful thing that Nameless has been doing is they continue to keep Noxious guessing. They're not constantly hitting that same site over and over again. And different people hold different sites. Also, Yasser collecting Gil for that economy-wise, getting rid of the flashpoint. But a flash gets invested here for Tasty going for the swing. Oh, what? Had the easy kill. I don't know how in the world he didn't get that kill, but it doesn't matter because Toshi is here.
You know what? To build off of your point,
Switching
as well,
sides.
Nameless is they've been hitting the B site too, and they've done some like pretty good takes on it. They've done like really nice post plants as well. And usually B is a site that a lot of teams, even teams in the pro levels, the top tier competitions, tend to avoid because it's so easy to just, you know, when the spike is planted, smoke on top of the diffuser, and if the lineups aren't good from the other team, you can just easily get a diffuse down. And so sometimes
Need a
teams
drop.
tend to stray away from the B side. But I really like your point on that because it's something that I noticed as well. You see them alternating
drop.
not only from the B and the C side, but also on the A side a number of times. I felt like they attacked the A site a lot less than they did the B and C site, but I felt like their executes were clean, to be fair with you, on that second half.
Well, now it is the second half. The sides have switched up, and with the team composition that we are seeing for the side of Noxious, it's a very aggressive team composition. You have McLovin on the jet, you have double flasher, which means everybody and their mommies are going to be blinded for days. And with that, they do get this full control of the site. The bomb gets planted. I want to say that was planted by the breach. I could be wrong, though. No, it was the breach to be able to kind of work on that rolling thunder. This double hell hold from Ostino and the crossfire from Whoopa is going to allow them to have the man advantage. Gil gets killed by Ostino from the long, and Whoopa said, I swing, you swing, we all swing, and we all get a kill.
You know, I was also gonna say that point as well, is that, you know, while Noxious weren't the best on their defense, I mean, it was a 7-5 half, so it was pretty close. I felt like they did make some mistakes, especially when it came to like rotating quickly enough, but I feel like their composition is more favored towards the attack, especially with the double flashes and how aggressive you can be how aggressive you can be behind the flashes of both the KO and the breach, especially if you're entering on that jet. So I think it's not anything to worry about if you're Noxious, especially using a little bit too early.
They have to worry about the Buckies. It's a very cheap weapon, very affordable, but hey, when it gets you a trade off here, a free Vandal. Wow. Actually, McLovin says you're not getting that Vandal. We paid for that, so we got to get it back, actually. So mind you here, there is that trade-off happening, which we like to see. But the bomb says, things are a little bit too spicy. We do have Yasser, who is roaming around in window here. Gil heard that movement, especially when you hear the trademark, you know that chamber is somewhere around town. So Gil's gonna give the information to the team that, hey, they could potentially rotate, but they could also hit the site. The recon ball is in the hands of Gil here if they choose to use it to get a little bit more information. But the deep push happening to Noxious, already up a long aftershock being invested. Tasty trying to get out, doing a little wiggle. Ice Smelly gets blinded, but not before gets the kill on Ostino.
30 seconds left.
The doppelganger here. The bomb gets planted, but the man advantage is in the hands of Noxious. Toshi with just the sheriff, and Gil with the biggest flank of his life gets shut down. Okay, Yasser with the Guardian does not miss.
Gun here.
Gil was gearing up to that flank for the whole entire round. He was waiting for that moment too, but unfortunately that moment could not come. What I really did like about that push from Noxious, especially, was their utility. First, you had I believe it was the KO of Tasty trying to play through the smokes, and then the smoke dissipated. Then he got a couple of shots off the jet of McLovin knee, had to back off. Then there was the aftershocks of
That works. Here.
2, and then you saw the paranoia used on the second player on that A side. It's just 2 quick, easy kills. Nice utility to make that execute work for Noxious, and a 7th round on the board for them as they claim their 2nd round of the half.
Oh. I was gonna say, oh my goodness, the aggression coming out from Nameless, but no, they decided just to back up a little bit more. They do have a 2 Gil, and I Smelly being really aggressive onto this garden. It's going to be Yasser going down first to Gil here, but the rest of the game for Noxious is over onto that C side. KJ's utility gets taken out, but they still have to worry about Toshi, who's in the back. Like the for Toshi, looking for the force as Jehu manages to kill. It's gonna be one very low on health, blinds both of them, but somehow, somewhere, it's gonna be Tasty who ends up on top here. Give it to us, 1B. Here's the replay.
God, let me look at this replay for you right quick. First, you got the first kill of the round through Gil, and then you saw the fast push from Noxious as they are on a half buy. Then you saw Toshi, he's just doing jet things. Look at those shots. Almost gets the 4th, and he falls short. Then Jehu, 1v2 situation. Finds the first, couldn't find a second, couldn't close it out. But I mean, some insane shots hit from Toshi.
Shutting them down.
The full buy round claimed Sports, and they're back in the lead. But I mean, now both teams have full rifles, so this should be an even matchup.
Yeah.
Or no, I'm so sorry. No, they don't. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it was Nameless who bought up. That was the bonus buy for the side of Noxious. It was a very expensive buy up for the side of Nameless, and unfortunately, even though they won the round, a lot of their players went down, which left them to this kind of janky buy. All-Star says janky buy. No, the sheriffs are actually operators, just very small and tiny in our hands here. Tasty good for 2, but gets traded off by Jehu, and now here comes Ostino to add on. But the flank is real coming out for Nameless as the Blade Storm has it invested. Jehu gets caught out looking the wrong way, and just like that, Blade Storm, that's an ultimate for you folks, coming out from Toshi.
Man, Nickelodeon just like dashing in to the seaside with no real intel on where these Nameless esports players are. Gets caught out by the KJ a little bit too easily for my liking, and then you saw 2 players going on a flank, and nobody from Noxious was aware of that. I don't think that they had no intel over there by C in order to catch that rotate out. I think the trademark was placed somewhere else. I wasn't too sure, but okay, 9th round for Nameless Esports, and this is making my heart beat a little bit.
Oh! Toshi, ladies and gentlemen, with an operator in the hand, getting that first blood. We talked about first bloods going in the hands of Noxious so quite often, but this time around with Nameless Esports, everything and anything is possible. Tasty cleaning up town. 3 defenders remaining for Nameless, allowing for the economy to grow and grow some more.
3 rounds in a row as well, I believe, for Nameless Esports, and as you said, their economy grows. 1 down. The economy for Noxious gets a little bit weaker. And, I mean, they're going to be able to full buy this round, but next round, this is an important round for them to win. Probably the next round after that, because they really want enemy remaining. Need to give credits to have a fighting chance of getting back into this game. But as we mentioned in the pre-show, Haven is a map that lost before. It's one of the 2 maps that Noxious has lost this season. And right now, Nameless Esports, they look in complete control of these defenses. Like, Noob, what do you think that Nameless are doing right, and what do you think that Noxious is doing wrong?
I think Noxious is, like you stated, being very, very aggressive. They're going in without a lot of information and checking their corners here. Gil, good for 2. Jehu ready to trade a friend out, but hey, you already have man disadvantage. Tasty says, I smell blood and I shall chase it here. Going to push up this A-long, holding the angle. Here's the reload, so they're going to know that they're still somewhere around that vicinity. But what they don't know is the fact that Ostino is deep into garage. Actually, the turret gave away his position, so Gonna have to reposition here as Toshi says, "Hi, I'm Toshi, and I have an
Last
operator,
player standing.
and I don't
Spike
miss."
down
You're
A.
welcome. Casey here now looking for the last kill, and yes.
Okay. Well, that was a perfect example of what I was talking about before. Aggressive
Here.
pushes without really any intel gain. You do
Here.
have the KO with the 0-point ability in order to grab that extra bit of intel, and even then, I feel like they could do a better job of checking their corners in a more simpler term.
Last
Didn't
player
really
standing.
clear that area.
Spike down A.
Sorry, that A lobby area, and they got punished for it. 2 people dying to 1 person. I mean, when you think of like, I feel like
Get out of my way!
they're lacking in the intel game, because you have the KO, and only the KO out of those 2 can grab.
Off your feet!
Oh man, I'm not quite sure what happened there. I think there was a flash by KO. I Smelly still being a little
Spike
ninja
down
in the
A.
corner. Whoopa looking and got deep into the side, so he's gonna be able to collect 1. Little does he know there's another one heaven, so has to recheck that out. And there is a flank coming out for Yasser here, very deep into the spawn. Gonna be able to connect with the KJ here. Stage is already low, but All-Star has that operator that Toshi dropped when they died, and just like that, Tasty taking us up to the match point.
Match point.
Fantasy sports might be doing what seems like to be impossible. This could be the 3rd map of the season so far that Noxus dropped, and it's on Haven of all maps. Now, they did lose their last match on Haven, but they've had some pretty decent matches as well on Haven where they've won it in like a very convincing manner, especially with Rek, who isn't here at the moment, top fragging with 22 and 8 on that game, playing as a Jet, as McLovin is doing in this game. But there's a lot of flaws to Noxus' game right now. I didn't
Tasty, pop flashes, gets 1, gonna reposition. Hunter's Fury gets invested because it's the last round. I don't think connects with anybody, and Tasty did get hurt, but All-Star's there to help a friend out. Flashpoint's gonna get destroyed, which gives Noxious a little bit of information. Jaewoo gets Gil out of this map, but it doesn't matter because the rest of the squad is already pushing onto the site. A smoke goes out to kind of disturb the A short site as Yasser just pushes through the smoke. Oh no!
Oh my God.
We're not gonna talk about that, Tasty, because you've done some really good things. So I'm not gonna talk about that failed grenade there. That basically allowed for the rest of the party to get onto the side. And McLovin Nee says, "I am McLovin Nee, and I will keep us alive."
McLovin just saying, "Thank you, Toshi, for the cloud smokes. I didn't have to use my own." And just, I mean, nice. It was a nice little 4K as well for McLovin on the Jet. Again, filling in some pretty big shoes tonight. Rek not going to be here, but, you know, we have McLovin here as well. And I'm McLovin.
Got him.
Yes, I don't like
One enemy
I'm
remaining.
McLovin it.
You just made me think of McDonald's. Thanks. I'm
so sorry.
sad. Because I
like
kind of want
McDonald's?
McDonald's. I love McDonald's.
So disgusting.
I'm offended, but you know what I'm not offended by? I Smiley getting cheeky. Yasser says, "I've seen you do this before, so I gotta stop you right before you kill my friend, because my friend's important, and we gotta save all of our friends." So friendship at its finest there, as it looks like a change of pace for Noxious. They've decided to go more for this default, which I really enjoy. Talked about Noxious being just extremely over-aggressive for no reason without any information, so they've decided, you know, we're gonna switch things up and take things nice and slow. Oh, McLovin does not get spotted. The dash has been activated, and the rest of the gang for Noxious is pushing this A short. The rotation has already happened for Nameless, as we can see. All-Star has rotated over to that C site. The operator in hand of Yasser eliminates Gil out of this map, so it's going to be lack of information, at least for that recon bolt. They still have a KO who's roaming around
Spike
town.
planted.
The lockdown is also in the back pocket of All-Star, so as soon as the rest of Nameless gets back in here, they're going to be able to pop that lockdown. Although man advantage is very strong on the side of Noxious. They were able to capture Tasty on that rotation, so the flash point isn't going to be available. Toshi with an operator still there. Looking, waiting, sees the shoulder. The Jiggle peek
Last
back.
player
They double swing. All-Star gets caught out. It's down left to Toshi, who gets one, but isn't going to be able to really aggress onto the side. It's going to be a jet for Jet. McLovin goes down to Toshi, and Toshi is going to be able to save onto the operator. The next following round is going to be a tough one for Noxious because they're still going to have to worry about, hey, Toshi still has the operator. We can't be peeking out any long angles. So maybe C long and A long might not be the desired sites for this upcoming round.
Yeah. One bad thing about that defense as well from Nameless is you saw the flank. I think All-Star did want to use his lockdown, but I think once that flank from Tasty got shut down, he was just like, I'm not going to use this round because it'll be pretty pointless. So he decided not to, and it's a good decision for him to save it for another round. I mean, this round right here, it is a full buy. Technically, you do have Toshi on 40, but Late Storm is available. The Japanese operator of Jet. Wait, what's her full name? I don't know her full name.
I'm sorry. I got
Spike
distracted
down,
by
C.
Ice Melly getting that kill through the smoke on Ostino. No smokes for the side of Noxious here, but they do have the sight, and they also wasted that no command, which is going to be a really big deal because KJ has the lockdown, and now they're going to have to worry about eliminating that lockdown, although the Aftershock could eliminate it depending on the position that it is placed. They are going to have to worry about that, man. The operator is still in the hands of Yasser, so Yasser is going to be expected to hold that long position. Gil throws out Recon. No one has been displaced by that. It's actually going to be Eka. Blinded gets one. Toshi goes for two, though, and through the smoke goes down. Toshi. Gonna be one holding the bomb. Oh my goodness! Yasser with the
How do I get away with
no
this?
way!
Chamber diff. Chamber diff. Chamber diff.
I cannot use that.
Chamber diff. And we also have a replay to show you
Revealing
guys
area.
now. Retake was initially good from Nameless at the start. They cleared out Garage. They had their players kind of pushing in as well from C-Link. Then you had a couple of kills.
One enemy remaining.
Teams ended up in a 1v2 situation for the Chambers. Didn't have the first line up, the initial lineup with the headhunter and well, props to hit casually.
I have so many questions for Nameless. Like, why are you not physically using your body to block your teammate? But you know what? Noxious lives another day, and they deserve it after that round. They're going to go to that C-site. And once again, Nameless has given it for free. It's been full control of Noxious. They're going to wait for the rest of the rotation. The lockdown, I believe, is still in the hands of All-Star, so it could still be put into play here. And it's going to be Yasser holding down the flank from A-Short. But the rest of the team for Nameless is going to be pushing through CT and Garage. McLovin holding a very aggressive angle. It could get wallbanged here, but hopefully that does not happen. A lot of flash goes through KJ Molly. McLovin still alive somehow, some way. Even in through the Molly gets a 2K. One, make that a
One
2.
enemy remaining.
A 1v1 here as once it gets down to Yasser. Yasser has the operator, doesn't know that they're holding it. He's shooting, but shooting the wrong angle. And Toshi gets the kill. And Yasser had done it before, but Toshi's
Defenders win.
clean. And just like that, folks. The first map going over to the impossible. Nameless takes it home.
Holy moly, what a way to start things off. Toshi! Toshi with the clean aim, are you kidding me? Hitting those C sites like some god. Oh my god, average combat score of 298. Some impressive stuff. Honestly, it was looking Noxious' favor. Those first 4 rounds is like, oh wow, this is rough for Nameless, but they stepped back up, they found their footing, and they did more than that. They sent it. I mean, just great stuff from both sides. Nameless Esports, just you know what? A little bit of a surprise, but a pleasant one to be said for sure. That was awesome. Awesome stuff to see. And there was one point I think you one of you mentioned too was the over aggressiveness of Noxious. What do we think that caused in that map, and what do we need to see fixed for our second map before we head on over to, I believe, Split? Dude, we'll start with you. Sorry.
I think. Oh, I'm not quite sure. I think maybe it could have been the fact that we I don't know if they were listening to us, but the fact that you're 6-0, being noxious, you're kind of like, oh, we got this in the bag. You see a team like Nameless be like 3-3, and you're kind of like, oh, we got this. They're not something to be worried about. They could have had their egos a little bit too high. Also, I'm just surprised that um they keep losing Haven every single time. You'd think that after losing once, you're looking at it and being like, okay, what could we do wrong? Or like, what are we doing wrong with this? And the fact that this is the Achilles heel for Noxious tells me a lot. And it tells me also that Nameless has done a ton of research. Maybe not on McLovin Knee, but definitely on the rest of the gang for Noxious. And they just did their homework and they executed correctly. Just like we had stated, if they were able to trade off one another, not get overly aggressive, and make sure that they are keeping the man advantage, then they're going to win. And that's exactly what they did. And obviously, it doesn't hurt that Toshi was hitting every single shot.
So clean, so clean. I like that little pivot too. What was Nameless doing right? Because that's, I think, the more highlight of what we want to be focusing on here is Nameless stepping up is not being the favorite team coming into this matchup. All of us predicted for Noxious to be, well, you guys predicted 2-0. So I mean, you know what? We're still in the realm over here on this side of the bench. But Wambi, let me know about some of the great stuff we saw there in Nameless on that Haven map.
What Cute Noop said hit the nail on the coffin. I almost forgot the saying, but hit the nail on the coffin, especially I really, really liked a lot of the positions from some players, especially Ice Melly in particular, who was really good at lurking. I felt like some of his positions on the attack most definitely caught Noxious off guard a number of times. Also, on their attacking half, what made them win that half was mainly just hitting all three of those sites, but at different times. They made sure not to repeat the same push, and if they did it a little bit differently. And for Noxious, I felt like maybe was probably overconfidence, the fact that they are 6-0, but I think the reason why they maybe played a little bit too over aggressive on both the attack and defense was down to their composition as well. Because if you have like Chambers as your sentinel, he's a great operator. You're obviously want to use the operator or the tour de force to peek down long angles and be able to zone out the attackers out of that, or maybe force them to make a rotation elsewhere when you're on the attack. Especially with the KO and the breach, you're gonna want to like clear out angles quickly and try and get into the site as soon as possible and all of that stuff. But I felt like a lot of the issues from Nameless, I mean, not just was not really not it was not only over aggression but also the lack of intel gathering as well. You have
Mhm.
the breach doesn't really have the opportunity intel gather. He's more or less there for the retakes and there for you entering inside of the sites with the flash points, the fault line, and the aftershock to be able to force people out of position. And I just felt like Noxious just ran in a lot of the times, not using flashes as much as I would hope, and just running in like chickens with their heads cut off in certain areas, which kind of disappointed me. Especially, I had my hands in my head. Two
Yeah.
players decided to push into a lobby without thinking that somebody's in like the corner next to them, not really scouting out that area. Maybe a lack of Sova or a lack of fade could have to the lack of intel gathering because you only have sorry, that was a speech and a half.
No, that was good. You bring up a huge point too. Back to that point I brought up on the pre-show was, is Nameless going to be bringing in a lot of utility to combat the gunplay that I think, from the numbers we've seen, Noxious have been relied on. And I think we maybe saw that coming through right now, where they're like, okay, let's just go in. We're going to get the kills. We're going to rely on gunplay. We're just going to be cleaner. But Nameless had those answers to slow things down, to dial it back a bit, and to get that information to be like, okay, we know where they're coming from, so let's plan for that. Let's prep for that. And guess what? We are VLS players as well too, so we're gonna have some sick gunplay in the back pocket, regardless of what we've got here. So that was so awesome to see. And these players, of course, making smoke bangs, wall bangs, pistols down C long, look like it's nothing. Incredible stuff from both sides. But yeah, Nameless, a little bit of a surprise here, taking home map number 1 on Haven. We are going to take a short little break before we head to map 2 for Split, so don't go anywhere. We've got lots more action coming up in just a little bit. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to week 8 of the VLS Valorant League here for summer 2022. I know I always a lot of 20s. I was saying that last night, but the big focus here is the fact that Nameless Esports, the fourth place team coming in tonight, who we had our slight concerns about, able to take down Noxious on that last map, and the way they did it, the fashion they did it, team play, right? This is a teamwork makes the dream work. You guys mentioned that coming into the night, and I think that might have been the case in this one. Scouting out, using that utility, and get that information on Noxious before they could hit up those sites, but. That was awesome stuff for sure. I'm not going to keep you guys here for too long because these teams are ready to go for map number 2 on Split. So if you are a viewer on Twitch at home, make sure to get those channel points ready. Let us know who you think is going to win map number 2. Without any further ado, we are ready to go for Split. So Cute Noob, Wumby, I hope you're ready for this one. Let's see if Nameless has got it in them to 2-0, get the upset over this first place team, or if we're going to be sending it to map 3 later tonight. Take it away off to Agent Select.
Hiker, we're gonna miss you lots, but what I'm not gonna miss is the fact that Split, well, I guess I am gonna miss Split, because Split, if you guys did not know, is going bye-bye, or it has already gone bye-bye, with the introduction of the new map Pearl, which we won't actually get to see here in the competitive scene. But the fact that either one of these teams decided to pick Split, that's so much S's, is phenomenal. I absolutely love them. I love both teams because of that. What I also love is the fact that Nameless Esports is bringing out the Astra. Oh, wait. I smell it. You're breaking my heart. I was going to be so excited about the Astra. But Ostino, I see you. You have my heart. Let's do it. You bring in the Astra. Astra, to me, is still a very reliable controller. Why? Because you can't only smoke. You can stun, you can pull, you can wombo combo with so many different utility. For example, the fault line, the aftershock, the nades for raise, the boomba, you name it. You could probably wombo combo any utility with the Astra pull or a stun. Therefore, giving your teammates the opportunity to be able to get those initial picks. For the side
Select
of
your agent.
Team Nameless here, it looks like I Smelly might be picking this Astra. How do you feel about the team composition so far here, Wumby?
I agree with you about Astra. Not only is her gravity pull and her concussives really good at supporting her team, and it's not only good in terms of like combining it with other utilities as well. Her Cosmic Divide can be a huge, especially if you're in a post plan, if you're trying to do a retake and you get on a spike and defuse it. That Cosmic Divide can be a huge boost to anybody, defense or attack. For the side of Noxious, they're going for a more, I would say, a default. Astra's not really that default in the current meta, but she's still very, very useful. Chambers is pretty default in its current meta. I don't think I need to say any more on him. Raze is default, Sky is default, Breach is default, especially with the amount of lineups and the amount of corners you can hide behind, and the flash point and the fault line and the aftershock behind, and get so much use out of it. For Nameless, what I really, really like from them compared to what Noxious has brought is the change up in the Sentinel, and that is the Sage coming out for All-Star, which will be very good since they are attacking first when it comes to taking mid area, and also if they want to save that specifically for the post plant, it could be good for zoning out the defenders when it comes to them trying to retake the site itself. Also, we don't see any other flash, or well, there's 2 flashers on the side of Nox, but there's also technically 2 flashers on the side of Name with the initiator of KO and the Turkish operator Fade, which I'm so excited to see Fade. I love seeing Fade picks. I love seeing Fade plays. I love seeing how teams, I don't know the word for it, but put her together with other different types of compositions.
Yeah, I love how you say that. Yeah, Fade is very useful with just different, kind of like Astra, right? Like you're able to connect her utility with other people's utility. One thing that I was, I don't know if you listened to the, I think it's called Post Plant? Post Plant. No, Plat Chat. That's what I'm talking about. Oh my god, my brain. I always get their name wrong. Plat Chat. They were talking about Split and why Split is a very hated map amongst the competitive scene, the esports scene. And it's the fact that if you start on attack, you're already at a disadvantage because this map is so defensively sided. Which means you can kind of predict whether a team's going to win or lose depending on how they do on that first half. And as we say that, Wopa says, I'm going to start very aggressively here, even though we didn't quite do that before. We're going to do it here once again. McLovin, the sub for Noxious here, is already starting off with 2 kills added onto that kill count, and the bomb is actually making its way downtown over to this A site where there is already 3 defenders there. We have the Breach, you have the Raze, and you also have the Astra. No Nebulas have been invested here. Yasser waiting for the lurk from Toshi, who was a phenomenal entry for their team. Now goes down fairly quickly. There's still, they decide to split this out, and I really like this for the side of Noxious. As we stated, they had a little bit of a struggle. Haven isn't their map. From the research I tried to gather here,
30 seconds left.
Ice Melly still coming out on top, gonna be aggressive towards Jaewoo, but the aftershock, the stun here, the fault line, stops that aggression fully going through. So, All-Star thinks the site is clear, but I mean, it kind of is clear when Yasser misses every single
One
classic
enemy
shot
remaining.
and goes down. McLovin, though, is right around the corner waiting to trade off a friend, and the hold is happening here as Jaewood
One
makes his way
enemy
down alley.
remaining.
Jaewood goes down, but it doesn't matter because McLovin holds the defusal. And I mean, the kill still goes down, but doesn't matter because the bomb has been defused.
This
Spike
just seems like
planted.
something out of a cartoon with the Sage activating her wall just as the chamber was running in,
One
both of them
enemy
elevating with one another. Obviously that wall, the attacking team, especially when Smelly was trying to retake it, to find
One
defusing,
enemy remaining.
did find 1 kill, but wasn't quick enough on her, or really couldn't see past the barrier to the player that was actually defusing in the first pistol round. Now we did see this on Haven, and we saw them also win their bonus round. So it could easily turn quickly, and the fact that Noxious is on the defense does put them out quite a lot on split too.
Yeah, I did a little bit of thinking here, 1B, and actually, Noxious has played on this map. Yasser was actually the one on the duelist role. So the fact that we see Yasser on a Sentinel here with the substitute of McLovin in is quite interesting, especially since when Noxious did play this map before, it was actually Yasser who was top fragging, and they won this map 13-3. Obviously, as we can see, they're a very, very defensive-sided team here as the rest of Nameless aggresses onto the CT. Ostino's waiting about, gets one. There's another nearby. Jaewoo overran by Ice Melly onto that A side. There is still someone onto that A side that could potentially keep the dream alive for these defenders, although already making it very expensive. It's going to be a 2v2. There's a lot of guiding lights in the back pocket of Whoopa here. Ice Melly smokes through, gets onto the site, is able to plant. Trailblazer has been invested. It's Yasser getting caught out with the rotation. Oh, and the stun happens, so that is the position of 1. Knows that the second has planted. Guiding Light gets invested. Does not connect with anybody, but the second pops here. Blinds 1. It's going to be an aggressive push. Toshi goes down, but now it's a 1v1. Ice Melly, 55 health on a dream. There is a Nebula in the back pocket that can be used to pull away or stun. Either one. The options are there here as it goes through, but hey, it's going to be the non-stick. Whoppa has the 5 game sense here and goes around the Rosie and connects, plucks out Ice Melly and says, you do indeed smell. I'm gonna get the defuse.
Well, I really, while Nameless did lose that round, what I really did like was Toshi's positioning by screens, cutting off that rotation onto Heaven and forcing the 1v2 situation for Wappa. But also, more importantly, in that round, what would have been the full buy for Nameless round is going to be an eco, because as you saw it, they heavily invested in SMGs that round. And usually teams don't do that because it can be a risk, especially if you lose a round like that. It can screw up the economy just a little bit. So with the gun advantage
Obscuring
for
vision.
Noxious here, they have a good chance of grabbing the third.
They do indeed.
Time to hunt.
I like how both of the...
Scout
Actually, it
destroyed.
was a Trailblazer and a Prowler. I wonder what, if you mix those two, what it would be. It doesn't matter, though, because Whoopa says, like, we're not even going to talk about that. We're going to invest a little bit of util here. The lights, both of them, so they both have to. But there was a little bit of miscommunication happening there for the side of Nameless. They both swung kind of at an awkward timing. And so it was... Whoopa who was able to get 2 before being traded off for the last final one. Man, I should say health advantage is in the favor of Noxious here. And just as I say that, McLovin says, oh, not for long here. Takes care of Raze down mid, and now the bomb needs to decide. They can't even aggress onto the site because the wall was used, and so they don't even have a chance to get onto the site. They have to make their way all the way around the map, which, mind you, Split's pretty small, so it's not going to take quite a lot of time. But what is going to
30
happen is
seconds
give
left.
the information to Yasser that they're making their way over to him. Yasser isn't holding an angle where he's invisible.
One
Peeks at the
enemy
perfect
remaining.
time, able to connect ones. All-Star. Cheeky headshot. We see you. Okay, the health is there. Also, it manages to get one. Implant, I was going to say, has the resurrection. But the rest of the gang for Noxious is there to keep the lead alive.
Communication seems to be a little bit of a miss for Nameless at the moment, especially when contesting for mid. You saw 2 players kind of swing together. What I haven't seen so far is the Fate utility be used to grab enough intel into mid in order to push in there, and that's why you saw 2 of them kind of just pass away is such a formal word to use, but I'm going to use it anyways. Pass away in mid due to one player being there. Both of them, I think, were also
Bomb
flying
buddy out.
sky playing in vents. But ultimately, what killed Nameless in that round was just the lack of teamwork, the lack of communication as well, and no real plan on the execution.
Concussing! Blasting!
Okay, I love the crossfire happening there. And it wasn't such a crossfire, it was more like playing off. Give me a second. Sorry, I had a cough there. It was kind of playing off each other's util, right? You have the Astra peeking from ramp, and you have the fault line happening for Jwoo, who then says, hey, you can swing now, and they do manage to get that pick off of Toshi. Toshi being very instrumental for the side of Nameless, because Toshi's the player that, gets onto the site, gets into everyone's faces, and is able to get those kills. The resurrection is invested to bring back Toshi into this game, and I believe McLovin will be popping that showstopper, but hey, the showstopper ain't here for no party, because hey, there wasn't a party to be shown up for. So down goes one as Whoopa swings, Gil goes down, no longer flashes, and the Seekers get invested for the side of Noxious, as they are going to be alerted that the rest of the Nameless team has gone far, far
30
away to
seconds
the
left.
land of B site.
Oh, that was so smart for Nameless, but so many kills. Nasser getting
One enemy remaining.
There, he gets a double on Haven. Heaven. And now Jaden can't switch it out. But I mean, Nameless. They used the Cosmic Divide in order to bait the A site, and then they made their rotation to B and completely boxed the rest of the Noxious players out
30
of it.
seconds left.
Yeah, beautifully done. And also the investment of the utils. I was going to say, I don't know if I really like that Cosmic Divide and the Resurrection, but hey, it worked out in the end. So as long as it works out, it's a-okay, which puts them at this weird little bye. We see a couple of light shields for the side, for Toshi and Gil here. And the economy for Noxious is back to being at this awkward place where if they lose this, they're going to have to save. But already one down. Once again, Toshi. Toshi has been the spear, and the spear continues to get cut right at the get-go. Ostino gets 2 with the Astra pool. We talk about Astra and
One
how
enemy remaining.
great her utility is, and it just goes to show as manages to get those 2 kills. Gil is forced to get into this male 11 and is awarded. Yeah, sir, peeking at the wrong angle, making a little bit too much noise here. 45 health in a dream. The only wish that Gil could have is that every single member of Noxious takes this 1v1. And it is possible, because we've seen Noxious throw a couple rounds. So, with that, this A side clear is going to come through. Ostino's going to swing C skill.
No
He's
charges.
going to have to play this for the kill and holds the perfect angle and gets the kill. So, okay. Noxious lives another round, able to hold out 3 weapons. That means that the economy isn't going to be too scuffled.
Yeah, that was. I heard the KO sound really sad.
1
when he
second,
said no
peeps.
charges
I gotta
because
visit the
Gil wanted
Astral to
throw a
play some
flash towards
stars.
The ashtray and grab Ostino, maybe to do a little bit of damage to the Noxious economy. I mean, so their economy's still not stable for Noxious, but it's not at the worst. It was a lot better than it was last round. And you know, the story of that last round was basically Noxious picking Nameless apart one by one, all starting from that A main area, which, I mean, Nameless Esports, they haven't had the best of times pushing down A main. They get picked off way too easily over there, and it's not really with utility, it's with the guns of Noxious that are.
The first bloods have definitely been in the hands of Noxious here. Guiding Light goes through vents here. I believe it is someone. Okay, yes, one but good for 2.
Spike
Gets
down
cleared
mid.
off by Gil. The paint shells get invested here, so has to reposition. The rest of Nameless is on to Ram, but McLovin knee is good for 1, traded off by All-Star. Man advantage on the side of the defenders, but the Cosmic Divide is
One
in the
enemy
back
remaining.
pocket of Astino if they choose to
Spike
invest.
down
And just
B.
like that, Jaewoo says, yo, I got the spike. A drop on me. Last player, still unknown to these defenders. But as Yasser continues on to this market, might come into contact. Oh, I think they just missed each other by the sliverest of sights here. But with that swing, Yasser manages to get All-Star looking the wrong way.
I mean, the positioning I believe.
Does anyone
Whopper
have fun?
down
Yes. Gun here.
in ropes, like in the actual rope area, like at the bottom of it.
Out of
The
charges.
positioning there was key because there was no
Okay.
YouTube used from Nameless Esports in order to really scout out that position and make sure it was clear.
All
Like,
set
clear
up.
vents, and they just put ropes here, and well, it wasn't. It was 2
Here.
kills in favor of Noxious Esports, but keep in mind that was a bit of a janky buy / eco round for Nameless Esports. Op invested, but I believe that was quickly taken out by. Nope, sorry, that was Yasser with the op. But it is going to be a full rifle round from Nameless Esports.
Yeah, I think Ice Melly also had an operator. I think I might have heard a back and forth
that's
shot
what I
of
said.
an op. Yeah.
Yeah.
So actually Yasser proven that the operator is a little better in the hands of a chamber rather than the Astra. The flash. No! Gil flashed himself and goes down to McLovin. A pull is invested here for Ostino. Denying the entry to the side, but Wappa holding the wrong angle. All-Star is going to be able to get the resurrection over onto him. Oh, the showstopper does not connect. Don't worry, Toshi. That happens to be to the aggression, though, happening through. They're not going to plant. Okay, they are going to plant, but they're going to hold this very aggressive angle onto screens with the sound notification that they're pushing onto Heaven. It's going to be a harder push onto this A Heaven to make sure that they get the sandwich effect. The flash goes through. Yasser teleports. There's still 1 flash in the back pocket of Gil. The operator shot misses. It's down to Ostino and Yasser to really get onto the side, but it's really looking impossible as the aggression of Nameless is just a little bit too strong. Saving is going to be the best bet here.
Aggression from Toshi and Gil over by screen really helped to get that round.
Shutting them down.
That was the positioning. They also had a player over in Heaven as well, just in case players decided to. Those last 2 or 3 players from Noxious Esports decided to run in through Haven, maybe have the retake happen through there. Then that Fade could hear it on Heaven and be able to communicate to the screen players to push right behind those 3 players, but. I feel like that was perfectly timed aggression from Nameless Esports. Second round on the board on their attack, second round on the board for their attack as well. Operator was invested in that round, but doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because the economy for Nameless Esports is looking a hell of a lot better than the economy for Noxious.
Yeah, but we still have to talk about the fact that Yasser still has the op, and look at this. switches over to this A site where the rest of Nameless gets one, pops back out. Gonna be holding this heaven position. A Nebula's gonna be smoked for the smoke. Takes that second pop shot. Unfortunately, though, is pulled up, but doesn't matter. Jaewoo good for one. Nebula's also there, so All-Star's getting pulled. The flash comes on
Spike
through.
down
The
A.
switch of utility Prowler is going to give away the position of Yasser. So the bomb, though, is nowhere in the hands of Nameless. They're gonna have to make a trip over onto this A site to gather the bomb. Tasty already in a 1v2, actually 3v1, as Noxious has basically every angle being held from that bomb. Ostino knows that Ice Melly has been quite a
enemy
ninja in
remaining.
the past, so already ready for that flank, and now it's down to Tasty. Has to be the most here. The C's gets put out there to try and stun someone, maybe pull them, but Yasser just gets the last kill, and just like that, it's still a 4-point lead advantage for Noxious.
Saw the operator in the hands of Yasser, and I probably should have been a little bit more respectful in terms of mentioning it
I
because
should probably place some
I
stars
mean,
in the
he's
astral
been
plane.
really good at these optics, but not only that, his move with how well those. There was there not even in just that round,
That'll work.
damn near dead, and he was able to rendezvous like in time, like almost every single time. Really pivotal.
Has been indeed, but this time around it's going to be a change of pace for the side of Nameless. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive. The Nebula, though, pulling on to kill, not allowing him to fully take control. The Prowler doesn't see anyone, so then it's going to be the double swing from Ostino and Whoopa. Ostino gets two. McLovin in the background gets killed by Ice Melly. Jaewoo just spamming, and Whoopa says, I got you, buddy. Your shots ain't hitting, but mine are.
Okay. Okay. That was so weird, but I mean, you mentioned it. It was a good double swing from, say, Ostino and also Wappa, both of them getting a kill or 2 kills for Ostino and Wappa getting one from Heaven and then the other from Alley, and reading into that push so perfectly from Nameless Esports, and it just seems like the attack for Nameless isn't it. I mean, Split is an attacker side of defender side of the map. But I don't know if it's decided for you to be getting stumped on this early.
Yeah, this is a defended-sided map. You're giving up a little bit too many rounds here. Definitely not the position that Nameless Esports wants to be in. They're also on this low buy, which a miracle has to happen. You have to swing the right angle, and Noxious has to basically give it up here. As they're gonna aggress, use the Cosmic Divide. This is quite interesting. Nameless is a team that decides to use their ultimates on a save round, which you don't see a lot happening for teams because they rather invest it when they have a higher chance at actually being able to fight things off. But hey, they get to get a pick. They get 2 picks actually, and they get to plant the bomb. So now it's gonna be a reinvestment here. Ostino's gonna push on through a grenade. The full confidence, but don't worry, Gil's around the corner. Always ready to trade a friend out. The Cosmic Divide was supposed to be for the Noxious, but actually it's working in favor of Nameless. And just like that, I said a miracle has to happen, and a miracle has came through.
A little bit of a change up on that A side push. We praise Nameless Esports for their chains up on Haven, but they did that just then, on that A side push. They used the Cosmic Divide the same way they did it but instead of baiting the push and going on to the B site, instead what they did was just stick it. They stick to the A site, they planted beyond that Cosmic Divide, and then you saw the swings come out, you saw the picks, and in turn with those picks, Nameless Esports, they get some free rifles. They don't have to invest nothing into this round.
They don't. That's already putting you at 7-3. If they can win these next 2 rounds, 7-5 does not look shabby. Prowler giving away the position of McLovin. Gets 1 more dice. Resurrection invested. The pool is there. The Wappa shots are not home. Yasser also missing that shot. And now the bomb. They're kind of stuck in this male/B heaven. They're going to make their way over onto the state. Ostino is there, good for one. All trying to wallbang the second, but no, that does not go his way. Jwoo looking for this trade,
player
good for
standing.
two. Now making
Spike
this a
down
2v1.
A.
Mind you, Toshi is very low on health, has to rely on the help of Gil, who's holding heaven. I believe also has the, okay, no. I was gonna say has the operator, has the flashpoint and a flash in hand. Yasser has clutched it up before, has been the spear for this team. But now, there's a lot of pressure here, clearing every
player
angle, sees
standing.
one. Oh, only 4 health on Toshi. Has to know that this is planted for heaven. Flashpoint comes from heaven. So hey, look at that. There's gonna be someone in heaven. The flash comes on through, but the movement is clear. He does manage to get into cover, waiting for this jiggle peek. The time isn't on his side though. Tries to hold it halfway. Wallbang damage does not come through. The time is ticking. I don't think there's enough time to defuse. Pings it out, and just like that, Gil takes his 4th point home. And guess what? Somebody has disconnected. Who's that? We don't know who that's disconnected.
Last round before the switch.
Random. That's just a random player. I saw him join and then he just ran. Sorry, that is Valorant. Or that is us. That is us, not Valorant. Because yeah, last round before the swap, before Nameless Esports, they get that that round win, but they also need an operator off of the board for Yasir. But I mean, why would you need an operator for Yasir when you have a better force, which you will invest into because it is the last round for the half. And I mean, why the hell not? Use any ultimate that you can before.
It is gonna bait. A little bait and switch here for Nameless Esports as we make their way heaven. It's gonna be a boom bot. The flash comes on through, but yo, the nades come on through as well. Jwoo gets that kill though with the assist of the paint shells. Now Wumba has held control, still forcing their way onto the side. The showstopper is there, but not anymore as Wumba gets kill onto Toshi. All-Star trading off a friend. 3v3. We got a little bit of a seize being thrown onto the side to maybe pull some keeps away. I think they know where Ostino is. I could be wrong though. Could have been just a panic little orb happening there. Yes, indeed. Ostino gets a kill onto All-Star. Tasty. The hunt, invested fade. The nightmare comes down. And now Ice Melly helping a friend. It's down left to Jwoo. The location has been given. And they're both playing this top and bottom angle.
Remaining.
Good for one though. The angle clearing does happen for Tasty. But unfortunately, Ice Melly does get that last. And 7-5 at the half isn't too shabby for Nameless.
No, 7-5 at the half is not too bad, especially with the start that they had. I most definitely, after the start that they had with Noxious Esports taking lights out on their defenses, I thought this could have easily ended in like a 10-2, 9-3 half. But 7-5 is a little bit more respectable now that they move on to the favorite side of defense. If they get the first push around, they can really build some momentum, not only in the economy side of things, but also in the way that they play. Noxious Esports though, it'll be interesting to see what they do on the attack with the Astra. And instead of having an Intel geared well, they do have an Intel one. It's the Sky. It'll be interesting to see the Sky and the Fade difference, like how that spans out on the attack. Because I felt like I didn't see enough of the Fade.
Yeah, the Fade, I mean, for that last round, it was very impactful that the Nightfall came down and that there was the location being taken away. But I kind of get what you're saying there for sure. I'm surprised, though, that the Sage decided to do a little bit of a different hold. They gave up Mail and they gave up Bence. So that means that a lot of aggression is going to have to be going onto that A site with the lurk around from Yasser. You're going to have to be very careful about how they are holding. Yasser gonna make his way into sight. Manages to sneak past Gil there. Gets the kill onto Toshi. And Wappa just at the perfect time connects with Gil. And now they have this A site for free. There's no longer a wall for All-Star, which means that they're gonna really fight their way onto the site. They do have the hunt to give away a little bit of information. They also have some nebulas as well. I was gonna say they have the hunt, but no, 12 seconds onto the hunt. There is a seize, which could eventually allow Tasty to get possibly one kill here. Depending how he plays it. Actually, no. Ostino says no kill for you. And just like that, it's down to Ice Melly and All-Star here. They make their way into Elbow. Buddy system at its finest. Good for one. Ice Melly gets one. But the bomb is planted for Heaven, and the rest of the gang is holding it down. Nebula places onto it, pulls. A Flash also gets invested. It's going to be All-Star versus Jehu over on the ramp as the rest of the team holds to Heaven. And just like that, the lead continues to grow for Noxious.
Puts around on the board of the half, and with that, we'll go ahead into a half buy. I thought Tasty was going to use his crowd funding, or whatever. I forgot what utility he had left.
The season, the Haunt.
This season, my fault. There you go. I thought he was going to try and use the Haunt there to tell him sees as a follow-up, but no, he didn't. And I mean, it's fair. You don't want to really maybe invest your utility in that round because you'll have to buy it round. So a bit understandable there. But for Noxious, they get the advantage here in this round, especially the fact that they do have to half buy. They have the better weapons, the SMGs, and right now, I mean, they're shooting pretty good.
They are shooting indeed. And I want to say that Noxious has never, at least from what we've seen, has not lost the first pistol round. I don't even think they've lost their bonus buy. I think they always end up losing that third round if and only if Nameless is saves for that third round buy, which they are doing right now. They didn't do it when they were attacking, and they did lose that, which allowed for that like really big lead to happen for Noxious. So the fact that they're not doing it here makes me note that they are kind of a little afraid of this map, and not just of this map, but also of Noxious here as they get the first blood. Looking for the second here as well to get extremely aggressive. This side is continuing to crumble, but it does not matter because look where Noxious is going. Noxious is already deep into that B site looking to plant. The one that is lurking about is Yasser, and Yasser is just waiting for these rotations to happen.
30 seconds left.
It doesn't look like Nameless got the memo, and now look, you see them turning around on the map. Oh, actually, looks like they're getting a little bit more active, but so is Yasir, who gets the kill on Smelly. That's the Astra down, and now it's on Tasty and the Sage of All-Star, who one is retaking through mid, and I'm guessing Tasty is going to join them through road. Probably think that a player is still lurking by A main, but decides to ignore for now, and Yasir is there waiting for any type of rotate, but none is going to come through. Seems like the retake isn't going to happen. I think what Noxious maybe want to do is just probably say, I wouldn't say save the SMGs, because then the next round after that is going to be your full buy opportunity.
One enemy remaining.
Or one of them is just going to go like three of them as Noxious were on their way out and got a few kills on the way. I think what Nameless were looking for there were a couple of extra frags. That's why they didn't really try to retake in a 2v3 situation. It was a bit hopeless, probably because they didn't have enough intel on the situation. They
I should play some Astral Stars in this reality.
Gun difference, you know, numbers disadvantage. Probably not the best idea. The best idea in that situation was to take the guns off
Right there.
Noxious and be able to do, again, a little bit of damage to the economy and force them to
Rise
use
and
their
bring
weapons.
glory.
Yeah, something that's a repetitive kind of thing that's going on for Noxious is the fact that Yasser has been leading the way. I talked about the previous time they played on this map. Yasser had, I want to say, 22 kills on the raid. Mind you, he is on the chamber, but hey, he's still doing his job and leading the way for his team. And the aggression has been through, although this time it has been picked off onto the safe side. So I want to see how well Noxious do without not only their duelist, but also their leading player here in the hands of Chamber. Jehu gonna get aggressive onto this mid. They are walled off from B Heaven, and that must be a little frustrating as they want to go there. They know that they have had 3 men onto A site, so A site doesn't seem the most pleasant. They're gonna wait for this wall to come down, and with the Prowler being invested onto the A site, they're gonna know that that's not where they are.
You know, it reminds me of the TikTok sound where that girl was saying the part when let me in, let me in. That's what Noxious are.
30 seconds left.
Dude name was Esports, but it doesn't protect Oshi. It doesn't suppress the growth of these Noxious Esports players.
Spike down B.
Jehu falling, Gil falls as well. Spike is down, so they're gonna have to recover.
I have the spike.
For the most part, they do have control of the
Lucky vision.
Tell Gather.
I've got your trail.
10
10 seconds left.
Are
Spike
extended
planted.
as well. 3v2 retake from Nameless Esports. 2 players decide to go heaven, 1 back alley. Both of the Noxious players are inside.
Oh, okay. Whoopa looked at heaven, the perfect time. Ostino pushes through his own smoke, able to connect with one, but it's gonna be the drop. It's a 2v1 now. Tasty very low on health. Goes back up to heaven, guiding light, just to make a little bit of distraction. Takes a couple pop shots, 1 health in a dream though. Gonna take the jiggle angle and says, I'm just gonna save. Way too hot.
This is 1 HP, you know. Tic said, gonna fight, he loses the Phantom. You know, it's a good eye. It's a, I can't remember the words. I have brain farts. Oh my
no.
god, Wappa dies, and he lost. Oh no.
Yeah, I think Whoopa
And,
also felt that
yeah,
one.
He put a, if you can't see the chat because we have some graphics blocking it, but it was a dot in the chat from Wappa. F in chat for him, please. And also a timeout from the side of Nameless Esports, because so far it has been complete dominance on the side of Noxious on these attacks. They're getting inside. I wouldn't necessarily say they're getting inside of the sites too easily, but these late round situations where Nameless Esports aren't able to clutch up, they aren't able to close it out, have been a big issue so far.
It has, and it's strange, right? When you think of Sage, and I think it might just be the Sage All-Star and the way that they are playing this mid control. They have been giving this mid control for the most part, or at least not even been contesting it whatsoever. They put that wall onto B Heaven so that they don't even have to worry about mailroom. They don't even have to worry about vents. But what happens is Noxious is being able to overwhelm either it's B Heaven or A Heaven, and then there's no one on site because everyone's trying to fight for these Heaven controls. So once that Heaven control falls apart, the whole rest of the team of Nameless falls apart. So just kind of not giving up that mid site could really help out Nameless, and I think this is what we might see here as All-Star and Toshi are gonna make their way onto mid. Mind you, this is a save round, which I'm not a fan of teams calling a timeout on a save round, because what are you gonna really do after that save round? Nothing.
I've seen teams do it in the DRS as well, and a high chance of them losing the round as well, and then use that round and then use the follow-up round and then
Healing.
But
Yeah.
Trailblazer goes out, gets that intel on Tasty. Player moving in heaven. They get the first kill onto. Didn't even scout out. He just decided to be aggressive with his A main players. Gets punished for it, and that's the first kill in Noxious Esports' favor.
That's the beautiful thing about Chamber in general, is the fact that you can go from one side to another, because Split is such a small map. One spawn at a time, Yasser was already on A site, got the first kill, and now he is making his way downtown with the rest of the gang over onto B Heaven. All-Star making a lot of noise, but I think it's just kind of like a bait and switch for the rest of his team to try to get a kill there. That's not the case. They'll have to leave those vents because I think they heard a little bit of sound. But I think the spike's actually going to make its way over onto this B site with this specifically deep lurk happening from Ostino.
Beastie just got like a crucial kill.
30 seconds left.
At first, I thought he was gonna swing right after that flash kind of faded out on him. No pun intended. As the Noxious Esports is 2 kills on the board for them as they get control of this B site, and once again it's mid surrendered and
Spike planted.
Esports to really stop it. Though they are in the eco round. Oh, that was really weird.
Where are we? It is.
Mark one.
Intel.
Okay, the Haunt gives away the position of 3. That is really good. Tasty good
Last
for 2. But
player
McLovin
standing.
says that's all you're going to get. 1v1 now for Gil. Has a grenade. That's about it. I mean, unless waits 30 seconds, but hey, the bomb doesn't wait 30 seconds. McLovin gets the kill. And just like that, 11 and 5. I believe we're going to go into a technical pause here as Tasty disconnected. And they do, I mean, it's a perfect time. They need a timeout. They really do. They need to talk about, okay, we're going to be able to buy full weapons coming out here. And they also have
Last
2
player
very
standing.
important ultimates. How would you like them to use it, and where do you think they should use it here?
Where's the ultimates? 2 ultimates for
Nameless.
Nameless. Sorry, I had to like look a little bit. My phone just buzzed and it kind of my elbow. I'm so sorry. But what they can do, obviously, the Nightfall isn't gonna be good when it comes to like I wouldn't say not denying a specific area. It's usually really good on picks, so Tasty having that out when I guess for Nameless Esports, what they've been struggling with is keeping not is keeping up control of certain areas of the map, in particular big issue, despite having that sage in play and despite having the barrier orbs, where usually if you see a sage on split and they're trying to keep control off of mid, they put I'm trying to think of like where they would put I know where they would put it. They put it on like on the top of mid, right next to the crate, and they use that to kind of waste a lot of the attackers spend time breaking down that barrier orb. And then you also have the slow orbs to counter that as well. So what Tasty can wait for what Tasty can do with that ultimate, as I'm sorry I'm stuttering just a little bit, is wait for a situation when Nameless are in a retake position, because that Nightfall could come in handy. Not only does it do decaying work, but it also gives you a lot of intel. Now for Smelly, the Cosmic Divide can be a real game changer here, especially if there is a situation where the plant goes down, and that Cosmic Divide could help you if you get on top of the spike. I think, or what it could do, I'm not too sure actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I just know that it can help you a lot of the times on top of use it to mute out sound when you are on the spike, diffusing. But as for what Smelly can do, I'm not too sure what provide, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, they're in a rough situation. I mean, if they lose this round, that's gonna be match, right? And if they have to invest. Why? Because I mean, you're looking to fight for the last round, and not give up this following round. So you either invest now to fight and give yourself another round or two, or you decide to save. I mean, after this really long pause, which we're just roaming around Fade, mind you, Fade is really cool, and the fact that she has like this tint kind of blue vibe gives me all of the good feels right here for sure. And her eyes, look at her eyes. That's actually a medical condition. I don't know what it's called.
Hyperchromia.
Heterochromia.
Mr.
So
Fantastic
there you go.
gave
We're
up on that
learning
for a
today.
second.
And that's pretty cool.
You know what? There's also this actual that they could use. Yasir's been deadly on the operator so far. He's going 17 and 10, and so he has a better form in the operator and the Tour de Force, which is very swaggy. I'm so sorry. Don't. I can't believe I use swag.
I can't believe it either. You're banned.
I'm so sorry.
Never casting with you again. I'm offended. I'm just kidding.
Asino does have the Cosmic Divide as well for the attacks. I'm sorry because I can't find the divide on defense. I just think that it could be good if they are on top of the spike, then it could be good at kind of confusing Noxious a little bit, because then they have to push through the wall itself, and then there could be a lot of angles held behind the wall that Noxious aren't aware of. But again, I think the Nightfall will come in handy here. What is really important is that Gil is like, which with the amount of utility that is put into the site from Noxious, and how well they are using their utility to pressure site and to pressure certain areas around the map, the null command could become useful.
You want to play? Let's play.
Good indeed, but McLoveny says we gotta go. We gotta go. This is second to last. And looking at the economy, I don't think Tasty got back into this match, so Nameless is going to be without, or unless that was the first kill. I'm so sorry. That was the first kill. What am I talking about? Q Noob, you went on a break with that break as well, as we can tell. Man advantage on the hands of Noxious here, but just as I say that, Gil good for 2. Jay finally trading out. giving that 3v3 position for Noxious. They're going to want to go for this mid control. And the fact that the Cosmic Divide was used to just block off vents as well as B Heaven and the entry onto B site means that Noxious is going to have to be very forceful in their entry and actually go into the site a little bit blinded. Okay, just so they said that.
Oh, wow.
The Cosmic Divide goes down. A very
You are
fortunate time
divided!
for them. The Cosmic Divide in return for Noxious does get invested, popping off or blocking off Heaven. But
30
little do
seconds
they
left.
know that the rest of Nameless is onto the back site. They hear people running. They do get hurt
Last
by the
player
aftershock.
standing.
And just like that,
Spike
Ospino
down
and
B.
Jay are the power team there, able to kill 2. Now it is just a down left to Ice Smelly, who's across town. Gonna know with that plant notification that they are onto this B site. And there's gonna be a little bit of a crossfire happening here for Jasser and Jay here. Easy, clean dub. Ice Smelly has a Nebula in the back pocket and needs to isolate these 1v1s in order to win this round. Mind you, they did invest, which means the following round is going to be a save round for them, which will be match point as well. So this round is instrumental to taking this 2-0 for Nameless, creating the biggest upset, if you may. The fault line connects, and just like that, it's going to be the save for Ice Smelly, because do you really want to lose that one hero weapon on the last round? Probably not. So just like that, match point. Here we
Match
come.
point.
Yeah, match point. Here we come. Like you mentioned, it is going to be an eco sign. Well, forced buy actually, because they're able to buy 2 rifles and just
BYB fam.
find
Going
the
to
best
Astro
buy
to
that
do
they
them
can.
Astro Guardian things I do.
And it's most definitely not the best buy in the game. So I'll give you that. I spell it using the Cosmic Divide last round. Fortunate timing that it went down the way that it did, because that could have been very instrumental in forcing Noxious into some into some very awkward positions, because as you mentioned, they would have had to go their way through it, but when it went down, it just gave them free control of the garage area. It gave them free control of a specific area of the site as well. And it looks like Nameless, the way that they're positioned, they're gonna look to probably take some head-on gunfights.
Oh
Get done with
my
that quickly.
goodness. Yeah, they want to be done. They
Yeah.
want to be done, but they also want to be aggressive. And Ospino knows, makes the call out. The Trailblazer stuns 1. Oh, that smoke is gonna dissipate. Oh, the wall comes down. It is Wappa trying to go on through. Toshi is holding down Sewer. If they peek, they're gonna be dead. And just like that, they do. What? Tasty?
One enemy
3K?
remaining. Spike down B.
He just got 3 kills in the flank. The trademark detected him as well, and
It's gonna be down to Yasser. Pulls out the headhunter, says we're gonna end this with dignity. Gets 1 on Yasser. Gonna put 1 off. Gets 2. Oh, okay, Toshi. Keeping Nameless alive to live another round. And they needed that round, folks, because economy, ugly. Ugly as can be. But now, they come up with an operator. They have an operator in hand. And they got a free Vandal. Now the rest of the squad's gonna be able to buy up.
B.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I like almost rudely interrupted you, and I did not mean to do that. I was gonna say it would be on me that Nameless Esports find their way back into this game, and it didn't look too favorable, especially with how aggressive they were in mid. They had a judge in like a close cornered area, so if somebody was not just but that was the flank from the B team without 3 kills despite being spotted by a trademark. That was insane.
Insane as can be, and I guess Nameless just said, yo, if we can't hold down sites, we just gotta be aggressive at this point. And that is what they are trying to do here in Garage. There's a couple of utility invested from Wappa as well as Toshi, but they don't know that Gil is right around the corner. Pop shot goes through. They are both blinded, but it's just Wappa who goes down. Ospino manages to get away. The rest of the squad, though, is gonna look to rotate to either mid, with Yasser doing that deep lurk onto a site. I believe Tasty may have heard those footsteps, though, so you can see that Ice Smelly hasn't quite rotated as per usual, and the rotation happening from All-Star as well over onto the A site.
There.
They know that once noise is cut, they are rotating about. They're just waiting for Yasser to get that initial pick, which Nameless does not want to give whatsoever. It's gonna be a sandwich
30
sesh
seconds
here.
left.
What type of sandwich is the question? Maybe a sage as the pull comes through. Ice Melly takes out Yasser. McLovin takes down All-Star, and they're gonna be able to get onto the site. But they need to worry about Tasty N as well as Ice Melly moves over onto the screens. And just like
You
that,
were
cleanup
so
crew has been
close.
called. And that is the 7th point on the board. Not quite a comeback just yet. They still have a few points to farm.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised if we saw in like the next round after this, Noxus not using their timeout as of yet because it's going to be, I want to say, a forced buy from them because quite literally they do have 2 Vandals on the board and, you know, this is the best buy that they can afford at the moment because they quite literally cannot full buy. I wonder if next round, if they, they won't win it because if they win it, they
Bring them down.
I wonder if next round, if they take out, if they're able completely, will they be able to take a timeout, or will they take a timeout in order to talk about what's going on in their attack so far? Because it's like name sports are catching up a little bit. Again, like you said, it's not the biggest of leads. It's still pretty far off. 5 rounds is a lot of rounds from, but with the way the economy shifts in Valorant, these could be the easiest 5 rounds to Nameless Esports if Noxious aren't careful.
Yeah, they invested. They're kind of desperate. They want to get done with this map. As you can see, McLovin got a Vandal with the light shield. Does have the showstopper, but what worries me is Yasser has just a classic, and Ostino has just a sheriff. So this was definitely not well thought out. You decided to like buy a hero buy when the rest of your squad is going to be able to full buy the following round. Mind you, they might be thinking maybe Yasser could find the towards the force, and then Yasser has enough economy to buy the rest of us. It's going to be the Nightfall gets invested for Nameless,
Spike, 30
and
seconds.
just like that, Koshi will clear up town. Ostino does get Gil, but only has 5 health and a dream. Jwoo in heaven control.
Last player
Sees one, but
standing.
does not take the shot. Takes the second after and goes down to Toshi. Now it's just down to us. 5 health and a dream. The dream has been crushed by All-Star.
Oh my god!
Ooh.
Oh my god!
Spike
30
down
No,
A.
I'm not okay. I know what you're gonna ask. I'm not okay. This is scary.
I'm not
for
okay
Noxious.
either. I'm very confused.
Yeah.
Noxious had a lead. And just like that, okay, they are able to buy. McLovin, though, with the Guardian and a Spectre, still, I guess the Showstopper counts as a weapon. I don't know, all right? It does. It kills him with 1 tap, so I guess it does. But still, you're kind of hoping that, you know, you have the Vandals. You do have, I mean, you have the Seekers, you have the Rolling Thunder. I would like for Noxious just to execute a site. Like, just end it all. Just go for a site, play together, trade off, and get some kills. Just like Yasser just did to entry onto this A site.
Yeah, first kill though goes in favor of Yoshi. That's already McLovin off of the board. He had a Stormy map 1 on Haven and, well, okay, it's not too bad. It's 11 and 2. Showstopper was ready as well, but not gonna be able to use it this round. And you know, there's so many ultimates available as well for Noxious, barring the Showstopper that
I've
has
got your
on
trail.
them, but those Seekers that have been popped can get some intel on Heaven now that they know it's clear. They can push up here safely. They also have a garage as well. The Rolling Thunder coming in. These players done their jump.
Last player
Oh, but
I see.
Smelly.
Attackers win.
Goes out in that title.
But yeah, they did what we asked for, which was push a site, get it done, use your utility. You had so much utility, so hey, here we are, Gurf. Welcome back.
Ayo, what a game 2. I mean, yeah, you asked for Noxious to send it there in those final rounds. I would say so, especially in that little hallway he snuck down there. But yeah, crazy stuff back and forth. But I think the point that really stands out to me is how well Nameless Esports are doing tonight. But it's not done yet. This is a best of 3. Noxious take it back, and we got one more game this final evening. Yeah, this has been crazy stuff from both sides. But before I'm just gonna get quick confirmation from our producer if we are taking a break between these next 2 games. We will be, taking just a
Mhm.
short one, but you guys were mentioning Split being a defender-sided map. Why wasn't Nameless Esports really able to hold it down as strong as we would have expected for someone being on the defending side second half of this map? Wumby, thoughts on that?
Um, I'm not too sure. Yeah, actually, you know what? I do know what because they gave up a lot of like map control. Like, I feel like I've talked a little bit about whenever we got split in VRS, I talked a little bit or a lot about I made so much emphasis on mid control because if you have control of mid, then you have an easier time entering onto the B site in general. And I felt like Nameless Esports were struggling hard with mid control despite having the stage on board. I felt like the sage wall, it's especially them um pushing them further back on top of Mail, like where the entrance from Mail to Heaven is, instead of like maybe adjusting that sage wall because it's an okay sage wall, but it wasn't working. So maybe adjust that sage wall and cut off. And if that wall breaks, then you have a backup. Which to be fair, when a sage wall did break, I felt like I didn't see so I felt like I felt like I didn't see a slow orb at all to follow down, didn't slow down Noxious at all with any of their utility up until the point where it was on a match point and we saw a little bit of a choke from Noxious, but fortunately for them, they're able to close it out. But that got really scared for me. I don't know. I'm a bit paranoid. That really did scare me. I know Noob asked me in the middle of that game, like she was trying to ask me.
Oh, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Just a little cut. It was
Just
a
a
little
little.
cut, but I
Okay.
heard I saw your reaction. Your reaction was like, "Are you okay?" And you're like, "I'm totally not okay." I think Nameless, had they not given up so many points on attack, I think we
Mhm.
would have had a whole different story. The fact that actually no, it was 7-5 on
Yeah.
well, yeah, I
Mhm.
guess they did. It was 7-5 and Noxious was the one who had 7 rounds. Had they had a little bit more points on the attack, I think they could have definitely closed it down on the defense because we saw them go for that really big run on the defense. And you and me, Wumby, were like, uh-oh, like, is this going to be the comeback of the century? I mean, not as crazy as the Face 9-3 curse, but it definitely was a comeback starting to kind of happen there for the side of Nameless. Unfortunately, like I said, those rounds that were given up on attack ended up biting them in the bum, and that this map ended up going for the side of Noxious. And if I'm Noxious, I'm thinking, yo, what are we doing? We're supposed to be
Mm.
6-0. We're supposed to be undefeated.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they're not. Even though I voted for them, they're not looking like an undefeated team. They're looking like they got a couple strats to clean out here. I don't know if it's the sub. I don't know if it's just, hey, we're almost at playoffs, so they don't need to try as hard. I don't know what it is. But what I do know is if you still want to stay undefeated, Bind is going to be the map to show up on, close it out, make it nice and quick so I can go get dinner. I don't know here. That's what I'm asking for.
Well, either way, only one map left. We are heading on to Bind after this quick little break. So we'll ask a couple brief questions as we come back from that one about how we're feeling about this next map. But yeah, totally some question marks out there. Where is that 6-0 team? We were saying, oh, they're gonna come in and clean up tonight, but also big props to Nameless Esports for the way they've been playing so far tonight to really send it. And I love seeing this from them too. Potential upset, potential Cinderella story. It's still on the line right now. We'll see how it breaks down when we come back from break. So don't go anywhere. Game 3 coming up soon. Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome back to week 8 of the VLS Valorant League. We are all the way here in game number 3. Quite a surprise there in game 1 on Haven, where Nameless Esports were able to win that one. Noxious, though, pulling it back. We saw an almost attempt there by Nameless to make it a 2-0 tonight, but no, that 6-0 team was like, hey, you know what? We gotta improve. We gotta be better. We gotta show off why our scoreline is sitting that high up right now. But it does come down to this on Bind, as we're going to see these two teams take it away in just a few moments. Noxious on the defender side, starting off with Nameless Esports on the attacking side. Thoughts for either one of these teams? Any statements, any points, any just advice you want to give these guys before heading into this one? Wumby, we'll start with you.
I don't know. I feel like we covered most of what happened before we went to break. The only thing that I really wanted to talk about was probably the over dependency on Yasir. A lot of the in a lot of the rounds that I saw, but especially when it came to him like getting first picks, and if he died, it seemed like the whole of Noxious fell apart. McLovin didn't have that. It wasn't a terrible game, but he didn't have as good of a game as wasn't as impactful in the first place. Still got 3, but the one that was mainly leading the year, who had 6 first bloods in that whole entire game, and I felt like he was the main driving force for Noxus, which is good and great, but you want to depend also on your primary entry, which is your duelist, which is McLovin filling in for.
Yeah, and that could be said is individually what we've seen from McLovin tonight has been pretty damn good. Especially that start of the first game was like, oh damn, okay, they got some moves. But we always hypothesize, not having that main communication with the player you're used to, synergy, right? There could be just a couple slight pockets there to be filled. But hey, so far both teams have been putting on a show for us. Cute noob thoughts about these guys though before we send you off to bind.
No, I'm excited. I think I completely agree with Wumby. You can't rely on one player. That being said, also for the side of Nameless, is Toshi can't always be the all-star, right? We need to see a little bit more from the rest of the gang for Nameless if they want to hold it down. One thing that was happening a lot on Split was the fact that Toshi was the first one to go down, and then the rest of the gang kind of were like, "Oh no, not Toshi! What do we do?" So maybe find a little bit more composure and yeah, get rid of Yasser and McLovin as well if you can. If you can keep those at the bottom of the board, that's how they won. Was it Haven? That's how they won Haven. So if you can do that, do it twice again on this, you might be making the biggest upset of the season.
It would be they've already been handed their actually, yeah, out of all these games, right? Week 8 and the third map loss has come through tonight. So, will it be a fourth? Will it be their first overall loss? Cuz Nameless Esports playing a little bit more upper echelon than what we would expect from a fourth place team. So, really great stuff so far, but Noxious maybe you had a talk between these games, maybe you had a little bit of a time to reassess what's been going on tonight and to come into this one a little bit smarter. So, I'm excited to see what happens on Bind. We are sending it off right now. Players are ready to go. Final game of the evening, decider map here for all the marbles here. Take it away, Q Noob and Wumpy, for our final one of the night.
We're going in 1B, and one thing that we forgot to mention during our desk was the fact that this is kind of like it or not for Nameless. The fact that they will make it a playoffs if they can secure this victory, for sure, keeping their fourth spot. Depending on how Victoris or Victorum does on their match, they might be like in the 4th, 5th place, but they'll still make playoffs. If Nameless loses this, they're gonna go home. They're gonna the chances that they go home and not make playoffs are very high. So this doesn't just mean you're gonna take the first loss to Noxus and make them look a little bad, let's be honest, or you're gonna lose and be knocked off for the rest of the season, which hurts your feelings quite a lot. Yeah, what are your thoughts, Wumby? I know I said that a lot. That was a lot of information. You're welcome.
No, I'm so sorry. I got something stuck in my eyeball, and it's like,
oh no,
it's stinging me right now. Like, I look so awkward in camera picking up. But no, I totally agree. This is now or never for Nameless Esports, and we need some of these big name players to come in.
Choose your
step up.
agent.
We already had Toshi. He's had a decent map. Was okay in map 2. I want to see more of Tasty. Smelly had a really good map on Haven with on Split, and I'm just hoping that we see more from these players, because this is now or never. This is it. You lose this map, it's done. Season's over. It sounds really like
devastating.
Yeah, it sounds really devastating. Like pressing, just taking charge and talking about just anything at this point. But what's really interesting is the difference in composition. Of course, you do have the race for both teams. I'm so sorry. I read.
No, I love it. I love the fact that we're on the same wavelength.
Yeah. But you see it, right? The difference in the Sentinels. It's the same type of duels apart from the double.
Anyone
duels.
Thank you.
Sports, you have that intel gatherer in the cave, which she's really good on Brian because those haunts can stick onto the roofs. You can get so many good lineups with those roofs and the haunts sticking to them, and you getting so much key intel in certain areas of the map. Chambers is a really decent, I feel like, pick on this map, especially if you place his rendezvous. You can place his rendezvous map too, especially if you're trying to move from site to site. Difference in controller is going to be the Astra plus double controller on the side of Nameless Sports with the Brim and Viper in him.
I'm a little bit worried for Nameless Esports. They have double initiator and double controller. Their team composition is geared. Oh my goodness! Hello, McLovin. For those paint shells,
Spike
nothing
planted.
makes me more happy than paint shells doing what they're supposed to, which is getting kills. Just like that, I was gonna say, Nameless team composition is for a very quick hit. And then you have the Viper for the post plant, and you also have the Sage. Mind you, if your utility is used up fairly quickly, you're gonna have a hard time sustaining side. But when the hits go right,
One
it's
enemy
gonna go in
remaining.
your favor here, making it 2v1. Jay switching off from a controller onto a initiator is quite a surprise. And just like that, so that surprise has been spoiled here as Tasty does give that first round going over to Nameless.
Like you said, the name of the game for Nameless Esports is going to be a fast hit on the A site. Probably a little bit too fast, especially with that paint shell kill grabbing two, as Nameless Esports tried to get 2 players inside of lamps, I believe, and they just got completely decimated. Also got the plant down, so I mean, there goes some credits supported by the Sage wall. I can't think of no Viper utility that I saw that was really impactful that round, if they used any, which I don't think they did. But, I mean, 1v2 situation, you saw it. McLovin
Oh, I also saw Yasser hit that most insane headshot kill set. You can't kill my friend like that, bro. Gotta back up here as the aggression continues for Nameless. They are being held off by this smoke, which we talked about how they want to hit this site hard. They don't have a jet, which means that there's not going to be that really cloud burst and dash for them. They're going to have to rely on the brim smokes as well as the raised double satchel to get onto this site. The Viper's wall is going to allow them to sneak their way into elbow. I think Ostino may have some information on this, although the weapon disadvantage for Noxious is going to make it a little bit harder to retake. But hey, having full control of the elbow, Ostino going to be the lurk around, gets one. Unfortunately, he has to reload. That's the bad thing about the Bucky, is you only get 1 hit and 1 hit only, or actually 2. Shorty, excuse me. Oh my god, I feel so. I'm sorry to whoever I offended in the chat. The Shorty and the Bucky look alike. All right, it's not my fault. Whoever made those 2 weapons, how dare you? Jay-Woo, classic free weapon, by the way, getting that almost free kill. Tasty last down
player
here, but
standing.
Love and Sheriff does not connect. And now it is down once again to Jay-Woo. Either
enemy
Jay-Woo is
remaining.
really good at baiting, or it just so happens that he's constantly the last person standing.
Spike
I made a
planted.
mistake. At first I thought Noxious won the first round. No, they didn't. That was Nameless Esports. That was really good cross angle established in the very first round. In that second round, again, depending on the fast hits onto either the A or B site, there's no
player
choice or no
standing.
real preference for them. They're gonna hit what they want, and like we saw in Haven, they like to
One enemy
they like to alternate between the sites. They don't like to attack the same site over and over and over. You know who that reminds me of? Victor last split, where they like attacked whenever they attacked Icebox, they always
Grenade! Yeah, B was their site. They had no other site. Okay, McLovin gets stuck, but hey, when the shots are there, doesn't matter how you're stuck. Satchel to give a little bit of distance here, separation from this lap. The one thing I'm noticing about Nameless is they do not plant until they can block off the CT from their opponents. They are now stuck here, so All-Star is going to be towards that stage barrier is coming down. Oh, I Smelly with the long lurk in showers does get hit and has to reposition themselves, able to get Yasser out of this map. It's going to be McLovin stuck in this bench with the Viper Spit zoning them here. Has to find another way. Creating some space. Toshi, though, is right around the corner, waiting. There's a nebulous smoke that's going to uncover the position of the diffuser, and just like that, when your buddy's system is strong, you do manage to change the tide, and Noxious finally get that first point on the board.
And you know what? One player who I kind of called out a little bit before this match started was McLovin, because I felt like he didn't maps on split, and now look at 5-2. Mama, there goes that man. And his name is McLovin. What is the
Dun, 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 dun. I feel like we have to sing the song every time we say McLovin's name. If we don't, it's almost disrespectful.
That song is disrespectful. McDonald's is disrespectful.
What? You mean you don't like McDonald's chicken nuggets?
They're not even real chicken nuggets.
How dare you? Anyways, okay, moving on, because we're not supposed to be talking about this. What we are supposed to be talking about is the fact that weapon advantage is in the hands of Noxious. And we've seen them do insane things, and they use their utility very well. We have a nebula placed onto that A site to hold off this push. It's actually a nebula that's going to create a one-way smoke, which will allow for Fade to be able to see those little toesies onto A main in case, or actually McLovin knee as well, if that ever so happens. But the good thing about that Viper wall is that it allows for someone to creep up into elbow, although little does Faye know that there's already 3 people holding it off. McLovin does get that kill, and it's a good thing that there's a sky on this map because the heal comes right through her friend. Actually, no, the heals are across the map. That was the heals from someone else. Right?
30 seconds
I'm
left.
confuzzled at this moment. I'm sorry, chat. But what I do know is that the spike is in no man's land. The spike is kind of deciding where they want to go because a lot of bodies are dropping
One
for the
enemy
side
remaining.
of Nameless, just so they said that they are on to the save round. So it's kind of expected. They kind of just wanted to see what they can get. Kind of,
10
if you
seconds
get lucky
left.
and get a kill, that's a feels good. And now Ice Smelly's gonna look to plant for the economy, but J-Wo is gonna be like, no planting for you.
I think what Nameless were looking for there was probably some easy fixes. They tried to aggressively move into spaces. We saw Token like almost get an entry into lamps. But
BYB
McLovin
fam,
just-
going to
I'm
Astro
pretty
to
sure
do them
he probably
Astro
would've
Guardian
gotten
things
it.
I do.
Jay had McLovin not detected him, but the timing on that was like insane, and you just saw Noxious Esports pick off Nameless Esports players like all across the map. Like the NXS were like literally
About
everywhere
there.
by teleporter in the middle of the ace site,
Taking that back.
by
Taking
fountain,
that back.
etc., etc.
Ooh, very good seeker to allow for Yasser to work on that Toward the Forest. So the Toward the Forest is
They
going to be
are
in
so
action this
dead.
round. So that say that Yasser brings it out to party onto a shore where Fade, or Viper is holding off, but not very visible. It's going to be more of a, let's see if anyone decides to push out here. Gonna jiggle peek it, sees Yasser and
Teleport's ready.
says, I'm pretty sure that's a Toward the Forest. Let's make it across town where the rest of our friends are indeed. Tasty and All-Star are trying to create some space, although not quite taking up space, which is could be a problem for Nameless. They are kind of waiting to bait out a rotation, which, mind you, I get the idea, but when there is a chamber in the opposing team, the chances of a fake rotation and being able to come back onto site are very high. Tasty, though, creating that space with the showstopper here is good. Oh, no way. That was so lucky. This man needs to go to Vegas right about now.
Is that jealousy I hear? Is it because you can't hit your?
Yes, that's exactly why. My showstoppers never do that. But Yasu, there's that operator does indeed, or operate toward the force. Might as well. It's an operator, all right? Getting one. Looking for the second. They still have time. There's also Guiding Light. They are also swinging off each other phenomenally. The Toward the Force still putting in work. Over the strike gets invested, which, hey, if it's pop, most likely Pizza or Bot. And yes,
remaining.
indeed. Ice Smelly and our
Player
Struggle are
standing.
there. Yasser's still doing work, but unfortunately unable to connect with the last shot. And the time has ran out. The bomb has exploded. Ice Smelly got away. That's no shot right there. That should have got him.
That's really scared the crap out of me because that was so smooth the way he backed off into the tunnel. Something like
Does
I'm
anyone
the
have
type of person,
funds?
I just fat finger and
Merci.
I just worked right straight into the smoke. Instead of pressing the SP, I press the WP and just die with the bandage.
Oh, no.
I smell like
All
that
set up.
confidence to back up, but it just seemed like Noxious cleared out of their own side a little really Nameless Esports maybe a little bit too much respect. We saw the lucky kill, we're gonna call it what it is. It's a lucky double showstopper from Tasty to get 2 kills, and Noxious Esports unfortunately could not pull off the retake.
Oh, that is something we never get to see there, 1B. The fact that Yasser missed that first shot means that the rest of Nameless is able to creep up into showers and get that showers control. They have that Viper's wall up in order to kind of creep up, but they're just kind of using that as a conditioning tool. If they can condition Noxious to constantly look A short. That means that they're able to aggress from 2 different angles. As you can see, this A short, this Shower's control is already pushed up quite a lot.
Blocking
Tasty
vision.
also up in Hookah here, waiting for that first blood, which I really like, but I feel like Nameless is buying a little bit too much time, especially if they don't get this first pick. That's having to take a 5-man post fight and then a 5-man retake. Which, I mean, in the past they've been able to work. But right now, Yasser still
down
has
A.
the operator. They're gonna aggress onto the site.
No
They're gonna
charges.
do a cheeky Showers plan, but they still have to worry about Yasser.
30
Yasser
seconds
good
left.
for 2. And nearby is McLovin, who also has the showstopper.
Spike planted.
Throws it
One
up, but
enemy
Kill
remaining.
gets McLovin right into the air. Yasser with the headhunter goes down to Gil once more. Gil trying to find the third, that is Heaven, and has a little bit of health now since that healing orb did help a friend. Prowler good, but blinded gets Ostino. Does not matter though, Jay-Woo is there to cover a friend. And just like that, folks, 3-3 on the map.
Spike down
Like
A.
you showed soccer kills or even so.
No charges.
We've already seen like round 7. That was
30
that was
seconds
absolutely
left.
insane. From McLovin, especially it was like a little
planted.
Kobe fadeaway
One enemy
shot. He
remaining.
just like faded quite literally away into the ground instead. But I mean, like you said, to put off your point, it seems like Nameless Esports are wasting too much of their own clock. It seems like they're waiting for what Noxious are about to do instead of doing something themselves. It seems like they have the execute in mind, but maybe they're just a little bit they're waiting against Noxious. And then when Noxious does something, well, it's to their demise because Yasser, they waited for him to, and he got like 2 picks off Rip Dog.
They did indeed. Oh, if that smoke could just collapse. Oh, the gun barrel has shown. Ostino knows that this B site is going to be hit hard. Waiting for a friend. Look at how deep that push from both Chamber and Sky were onto Hookah. If they want, they can wait for the rotation. And that's what's going to happen there with the Chamber and the Viper. But
Spike
Ostino
down
still on
B.
site. They did not clear him. He's able to connect with one. But the trade-off is there for the rest of the Nameless. Yasser gets caught out. In Hookah, the operator is in possession of Ice Smiley. Nightmare Nightfall comes down
enemy
onto
remaining.
Nameless, and now it's all left down
One
once
enemy
again.
remaining.
Jay-Woo connects once, looking for the second, and yes, sir, just like that, Noxious is in the lead once again.
What the hell just happened there? That was. It looked like all was lost, especially with Yasser dying
Spike
in
down B.
with the operator in hand, not really having any clue that anybody was right behind him. It was a good lurk. And who's been really, really good at pulling off
One
positions,
enemy
not really
remaining.
off positions like that, but pulling off
enemy
and
remaining.
rotating behind the back line from Nameless Esports countless of times. But how about that for 1v2 clutch from Jay-Woo? You know, we talked a little bit about him and how he went negative, and how last game when he went negative,
They are
Noxious
mine.
couldn't pull it together on Haven. I mean, now this time he's well over even 7-4 at the moment.
Yeah, having that almost a power duel there, Yasser and Jay-Woo. And not only that, but the fact that McLovin, just as I was about to praise you, McLovin, you do not deserve that. Good job, Tasty. As the first blood comes on there, although very low on health, the good thing is that there is a Sage in that team composition. And just like that, Ostino, up in the sky, knew the signs were there, and that A side was the id side, able to get to with that sneaky little lounge around. Oh, but they're gonna rotate, and they're gonna rotate right into the hands of Yasser with an operator
destroyed.
waiting
One
for
enemy
that
remaining.
tripwire to come on
Spike
through.
down
Gets
B.
one, brings up the headhunter because he knows that it's gonna be a close
Player
combat.
standing.
Oh, but the scoping, don't worry though, Whopper is there.
I don't like fire, and it's for this reason. These little rounds, it's so like it's such a cluster of like action that it's like it's not hard necessarily on what to focus on, but it can be a little bit confusing at
destroyed.
times. We saw
enemy
McLovin just. I don't
Spike
really know what he
down
was
B.
doing, getting a little bit too aggressive, fighting off board, and he
player
could
standing.
choose being the first pick did take a lot of health down off. Then you saw Ostino in the corner. Nobody
Get
knowing
out of
about
my
his
way!
behind the backs of Nameless Esports.
Concealment.
Little things like that turn into round one. And I mean, Yasir still having a really good game and was able to be so influential in that round. User down and did, with a couple of shots with the headhunter, but Wappa was there to cover his back and he said, "Hey bro, I got you. I got this. Trust me."
There.
Friendship at its finest. I like how the stacking happened for the side of Noxious. They're kind of reading Nameless Esports like a book. They knew that, hey, they tried to hit B site and it went not so great. So that did not help. They're probably going to come over onto that A side. They know that Toshi is the leading factor. The haunt gets destroyed, which means there's definitely someone around town, and Jay-Woo is already there. Oslino also gets
One
rewarded
enemy
for
remaining.
holding down the shower control, and now it's just down left to Tasty. A satchel kill? Okay, I'm happy. I'm so happy about that. Thank you. That's a treat. You never see
I have
those.
the spike. 30
Never
seconds
seen
left.
Indeed. But 30 seconds are left, and this has been an issue for Nameless Esports. All the time, and there goes Yasser to shut down Tasty. 6-3 is the scoreline, and Nameless Esports. We praise them for their lack, for their lack of repetitiveness, which is a good thing.
1 second,
And
peeps.
these
I gotta
type of
visit the
competitive
Astral
matches,
to
because
play
you don't
some
want you
stars.
want your enemy, you want them always on their. So far, Noxious, well, they're not afraid of them because they've been able to read into the cookbook
That should work.
of Noxious Esport. And well, what recipe are they cooking? It's not fine at the moment because Noxious are leading 6-3 is the
Without
scoreline,
a star,
I've
I
been
can
saying.
obscuring
And
vision.
It's looking pretty good for them so far.
Blinded.
Yeah, the thing is that Noxious is able to really collect a lot of information up early. Like that Boombot, Wappa knows that there's going to be at least one of them pushing into Hookah, which now you can see the rotation already happening from the A side. It also helps that Yasser with the operator is just a constant menace, a thorn on the side of Nameless, hitting every single shot. That nade definitely having to disposition, but doesn't matter because Wappa's holding the off angle and is ready for that push. Also, the Nebula smoke just zoning out the rest of Nameless. Guiding light, giving away the
player
position of
standing.
Toshi through
Spike
the
down, B.
smoke. Gets killed, and now that is the spike. It's down to Ice Melly, who, I mean, at this point can only hope that he can get a kill. But if you're really into it, you can try to go for the spike. But hey, you have like 4 people already looking at the spike.
Flawless.
Oh my god. The Clement just slapped him. I'm sorry. The shots that I've been seeing today have been like, they bring tears of joy to my eyes. I love good mechanical skill inside of these FPSs, and it doesn't matter if it's CSGO,
I
it
should
doesn't
probably
matter if
play
it's
some
Valorant,
stars
it doesn't
in
matter
Astral
if it's Call of
Plane.
Duty or Siege.
should do.
I just love good gunplay, and right now, Noxious, they're providing it, and it's not only just Yasir hitting heads and slamming folks with the op shots, it's also the other who's been finding some fragments.
That'll work.
In the round before the last round, we saw a bit of an adjustment push.
I need a
because,
star.
Noxious or Nameless Esports just wanted to change up their attack a little bit, but it just turned out so easy to shut down from Noxious.
Okay.
Where are you?
There is a Oh, Yasser? Okay, I have questions, because why do you miss the 2 shots but then make the craziest shot of your life? I don't know. Anyways, Nightfall coming down for Jay-Woo gives away 3 positions. The hunt invested. Wappa says, I see the trails. I will
enemy
chase
remaining.
the trails. I will also secure the kills from those trails. And now it is down just left to Jill. Does get one. Good, looking for a second, but Wappa says no. 8-3 on the board, potentially a 9-3 as we go on to the last round before we swap sides here. Something that I want to talk about is the fact that, you're right, we're seeing a little bit of the rest of the team for Noxus wake up. They're hitting every shot, and not just that, but they're not over-rotating. And that's something that we saw them do a lot on Split. We saw them do that a lot on Haven. But this time around with this map, and I think also because of their team composition, they don't have to
Right
rely
there.
so much on those early rotations. They can really just
That'll
hold
work.
off angles and really trust each other that they're going to get those entry first hits.
Oh my god,
Oh.
okay, maybe not so much.
Yeah. Wow. Way to like discredit everything I just said here, Noxus. I'm offended. Ooh, that was a good haunt. That if that did not get destroyed, that would have gave out the 3 men on A short. The nade's still gonna connect and definitely get rid. Oh wait, Viper? I don't know how Viper got away with that. Viper should have been dead. Guiding light coming through. The rest of the team gonna go on through, kind of blinded here. At
One
Ice
enemy
Valley.
remaining.
And Gil Cross hold the crossfire. Asino is the last person standing for Nox here to make it a 3 good for 1. But the rest is history as we get an 8-4 on the half.
Yep. It's a lot better than, I mean, I feel like, you know, because of the conspiracies with the Valorant community, 9-3 curse maybe. Nameless would have confirmed that. By the way, I think this is a lot better because they started off fine pretty roughly on their attacks and mainly just running down their own clock, you know, playing right into the cookbook of Noxious Esports, not really making any real adjustments on their attacks, really cost them a lot of their attacking grounds on Bind so far. Now going on that they could play behind on this defense in order to delay the boards, which, you know, I mean, they have that in the form of the Sage Walls, the Viper, and Molly. They have so much utility, again, that they could play behind on this defense that could really, really help them in the defense.
Healing. We have to take into consideration how much information could be gathered on the side of Noxious, right? They have the bait, so the haunt could go down, and the haunt just directly gives away the positioning of a lot of these defenders. You also have the guiding light, you also have the trailblazer, whereas on the side of Nameless, they just really relied on that brute force to get onto the site and the smokes to really create a lot of chaos onto the site, whereas Noxious could play as slow and gather as much information as they want.
Yeah, you're correct. You know, one position that they could spot out with the Fade utility, or even just the Trailblazers of the Sky, is, you know, the position of the I almost call it the Sky, the position of the Sage and Lamp. They're gonna use the power split take from showers and a shorts, and with the power scouting out the corners, scouting out those angles of the defenders, fighting in.
30 seconds left.
Go out, make those not keep from Whopper.
Spike down A.
I'm pretty sure that's like the 3rd kill. I'm
Last
so
player
sorry. I'm pretty
standing.
sure that's the 3rd kill that the Pain Shells get here, and somehow Jwoo is the last person standing. And I was just praising Noxious for how much information they could gather, but they didn't. They didn't use that much intel gathering there. So I'm a little bit confused as to if their timing was a little bit off or what was going on there.
You know, to be honest, during that, I thought I said something like completely wrong, and you were just like gonna
No.
correct me a little bit. But
Oh no.
But no, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, they did use their prowler out.
Viper, be careful with that
stacks,
gas.
over in that corner once you enter from A gas. I keep forgetting that call out because sometimes my memory is a little bit shot. But they did use that prowler. They didn't really have any intel to act off of into the A site, and easy cleanup from Nameless Esports at the end of the day. Half buy from them as well, as it is going to. Now, we've seen these second rounds once the team loses the first pistol round. I've seen Nameless just heavily invest in it before, and it doesn't pay off for them at all. But Noxious, they're not going to heavily invest. They're going to take the eco this round. And I think this is the first pistol round we've seen from Nameless. In all
Spike down A.
Yeah. They won the attacking one as well. So this whole map they've won the pistol rounds. Which says a lot, right? But they still don't have the lead, which
Last player
is
standing.
oh my god. I don't know what is going on across town, but the fact that this was the quickest round I've seen, Noxious, I am just kind of confused. You're on a pistol round. You're hoping that Nameless makes the mistake, but Nameless is obviously not going to push up because they have the weapon advantage, and they're not even against the clock. You're against the clock. So I kind of felt like Noxious should have been a little bit more aggressive, just to kind of done a YOLO round, honestly. Just run it down, WP it, try to get a pick, see if you can get a weapon. But that was not the case, and just free kills for the side of Nameless.
I mean, that reminds me of Nameless on their attacks, where they were waiting on Noxious to act, and Noxious are seemingly doing the same exact thing. They're waiting for these aggressive plays to come out from Nameless instead of making the plays himself, which is what you're supposed to do in the attack. You have to set the pace. You have to set the tempo. You have to take charge, because if you don't, the defense can run rampant on you. And this is not only evident on Valorant, it's evident on any video game
Here.
that has a CT and a terrorist and a counter-terrorist side. So both of these teams having really troubling starts in their attacks.
We are indeed. Oh, wait. Hello? Why was Big Long giving up? We don't know, but I smell you with the judges causing so much terror onto Hookah. And this is the type of gameplay we like to see. Does a ton of damage onto Raze here. Yasser is going to be the one to shut things down, but not when you are hurt by the snake, by free weapon for Ice Smelly to clear up the last person. McLovin has
30 seconds
angle,
left.
sees the barrel of the weapon there, but has to still get the bomb. And it's a 2v1, 24 health and a dream, no utility in the back pocket. And after this round, I believe it's gonna have to be another save for the side of Noxious here.
One enemy remaining.
No way!
I am done.
The perfect swing!
I'm done.
30
Cut the
seconds
cameras.
left.
What? What was that? Okay, so that round started off pretty bad for NXS, right? Because they had players moving in from Garden and no there to cover Garden. There was no util. There was nothing to deny that Garden was happening. It was an easy kill and easy clutch. And then in Hookah, what would boom Noxious that round if they lost it was the lack of Hookah presence, because it got easily shut down by the judge. But what a 1v2 plus Blue, stepping up huge for Noxious Esports, who obviously want to continue the season undefeated.
Yeah, even though they did win that round, Noxious is on a very janky buy. They're on Spectres.
Molly.
McLovin's the only one with a Vandal, and possibly even not even full detail. As we know, it is going to be kind of like a bait and switch. They're going to go into the hands of Viper, though, and Smelly's just a menace with the judge. How has Noxious not learned the lesson? I don't know.
They're really struggling in like these back corners. In the past 2 rounds, have been like struggling to get inside of Hookah because Smelly is there, and I don't know if they're not like in util to scout him out, because you have 3 good intel gathering ops with the Sky, the Raze, and the Fade, and there's no, like, usually you see a Boombot clear out Hookah, you see the Trailblazer follow up behind it, but I haven't seen anything from Noxious Esports to be able to clear out these areas. And again, if they attack onto B and they have trouble with Hookah again, Smelly doesn't have the judge. So they need to grab onto control if they want to have any success on.
Now, something that I've noticed is when it comes to terms of playing a duelist, okay, Toshi giving Yasser a little taste of his own medicine, saying, yo, you can op, I can op too, check this out. The spike not quite committing anywhere. They're trying to take this under the hill. The paint shells go through, but with the swing of Gil through the teleporter, it is a clear here down to just 2, Ostino and Jaewoo here, who don't even have weapons. I think, yeah, none of them have weapons. They just have utility right now. They're gonna push the Sheriff, they're gonna push onto the site. And last player standing for the most part here. So she gets that kill and the paint shells. That's a 4th kill for Tasty with the paint shells. Crazy.
I think there was also a 3K for Toshi around the operator. I'm not too sure, don't quote me on that. But you know, his name is Toshi as Wash, but he completely washed the Noxious Esports roster out of the B site. I want to say again, I think they actually got into Hookah pretty easily. They just couldn't make a proper execution. So both of these teams cannot attack Bind right now, despite Bind probably being one of the more easier maps to attack.
Bind 2 team's 0. But I was gonna say, with the duelist role, these duelists seem to be a little bit afraid of going into sight and dying first. That's kind of like your job as a duelist. Your job is to create space, get in there, get some space, and then your team has to have your back. I think there's because the fact that Nameless has got a couple rounds on Noxious, there's a little bit of fear on the side of Noxious, like, oh, if I go in, are my teammates actually going to trade me out? Because we've seen that sometimes it has not happened. So that's where we're kind of seeing a little bit of a slower gameplay, at least for the side of Noxious. I wouldn't expect it because they've been such a successful team. Mind you, we've talked about the fact that they do have a sub in, and that could be one of the factors that they're worried about, is we don't exactly know how, or maybe they haven't played that much with McLovin, and they're a little bit afraid that they can't trust. I don't know, but Showstopper coming out, All-Star swings through lamps, gets rid of McLovin, but the resurrection is not available for Nameless here. All-Star playing triple as both Ostino and Chambers swing. They're not going to change the bench, and Wappa's in the perfect angle, and now it's all down left to Ice Melly, who's going to save the operator, which is honestly a really good choice.
I was gonna say, I've constantly seen Ice Melly on the operator. At least it was on Stitch that I could recall them being an operator instead of the duelist. Raid isn't like, you know, the best on an operator, even the best agent could be on an operator. That usually Chambers, Raid, Reina, maybe Jet, and maybe just Jet as well. And I feel like Toshi has used the operator. I feel like a lot of times, I wouldn't say it hasn't been effective on it. It has gotten, or not unique entry kills, but has gotten some entry kills with the operator nonetheless to change some tides of these defensive rounds that Nameless Esports are on. But Noxious, the lead is still in their hands as they move on to ultimates available to Seekers and the Nightfall ability, which the Nightfall can use to clear sites that Seekers could help them on the intel side of things. And I mean, you know, I feel like maybe that's what Noxious are missing, is more intel and, like you said, more aggression with the entry fragments.
They're changing a little bit of a pace. They're gonna have Sky lurk about in showers. They heard the Sage get the orb, and that was to secure the resurrection for Nameless here in order to bring someone back if things don't go their way. There is a crossfire. McLovin getting a paint shell kill, but not long after Ice Melly does get the trade. So this hookah is a no zone for Noxious here. They're gonna opt to go for this a site. The Viper's Pit gets invested into hookah, and that's an interesting choice by Nameless, because you're telling me you don't want them to go there. You're gearing them towards the A, but the rotation from All-Star is happening a little bit too late. The Seekers are going in, and now they know the location of kill. They also know the location of I believe oh no, not the Viper. They had already killed the Sage, so now it's just gonna be a post-plant hold. They don't really have to peek anything, although now Wappa has given away their position. I believe they know exactly where the chamber is. All they have to worry about is Ice Melly. And Ostino smells Ice Melly. Ostino knows that Ice Melly has played that B site, so there can only be two possible directions where Ice Melly could come through. It could be CT, or it could be through the flank, and just like that, they do find success over onto that A site, and I think that's the play for them here going forward. 1B.
Yeah, curious. I know you mentioned it, but a curious investment as well in Viper's Pit. I'm not too sure as to why it seemed the rotation from Noxious came in like way after, or not way after, like way before the Viper's Pit came up, and I don't really know if I don't, just the lack of information on where that rotation. I do completely doubt the fact that they didn't have any part of it, because the Sage or whoever, the two players that were holding the site, could hear them coming. So I don't really know. They could have saved that. They could have saved that pit for now if they wanted to invest it in hookah. First kill happens though for Wappa onto All Star, so you lose your main smoker and
Satchel out.
and there goes. So even
Oh.
Stevens.
Yeah, even Steven indeed. And this is a crucial round here, 1B, because just looking at the economy, once again, we know this to be true for Nameless. They like to invest when they don't need to. And I don't know if it's because they just think if we can win this round, we can hold out a little bit longer and still have 2 rounds to fidget around with. But if they lose this round, you're essentially giving up the last round because of the weapon disadvantage. Ostino, though, able to trade out Smelly. And Gil gets taken down by Jaewoo. Now it's down left once again to guess who? Jaewoo! Making his way over onto this A site because he knows the rest of the defenders are over onto
30
the A.
seconds left.
There is a couple of utility in the back pocket of Jaewoo. I believe there is a... Actually, no, he's about to have the haunt with 10 seconds. You're hoping that you do not get peeked by anyone, but Toshi says, no, we're gonna peek you. So an investment well made, kind of-ish, because still Gil, Ice Smelly, and All-Star are not gonna have full buys here.
Yeah. Like you said, heavily invested, heavily difficult, so I'm gonna give up on it. But like you said, just, you know, they do like to heavily invest in these rounds, and sometimes it can pay off, but sometimes it can't. And when it's such a risky investment like that, and if you lose those rounds, also if you lose a lot of bodies, then those players are left weaker in the very next round where they're having to eco or even themselves on weaker weapons. There are going to be 2 buys from Gil and Smelly, and that's onto the Phantom. So
You want to play? Let's play.
Start putting himself on a bulldog as well. Yasser bringing out the better operator. Force first kill happens though onto Smelly, who was pushed up in mid. That was a aggressive position from the Viper, but okay.
Yeah, I feel that same way. Viper has been instrumental for holding down Hookah and allowing for that B-side not to be hit as heavily. Although this lurk from Gil, I like. Gil hasn't lurked, but the resurrection is in the back pocket, so I'm suspecting that Gil is going over, and that's why Viper decided to do more of an aggressive hit. Because, hey, they have the resurrection, they can rely on it, it's no problem. As they know that A-side is there, Ice Smelly gets resurrected. Toshi getting the kill onto McLovin, and X-Tasty getting rid of Ostino here, but the lurk still happens into showers. Jaewoo is ready for the flank. Little does he know there is someone else around the corner. Repositions over to this box angle. They know that
30 seconds left.
They know that the rest of the gang is here. Tasty, though, connecting once. Throws out the paint shells to get rid of the next 2. And as they scurry away, Ice Smelly able to connect there. And now it's down left to Wappa. Looking economy-wise, I mean, if Wappa wanted,
10 seconds left.
could go for a kill. It doesn't have to necessarily save, because the rest of the gang does look like... I mean, maybe Ostino doesn't have enough, but... If Wappa decides to save, that is going to be a buy a friend type of situation there.
I like that. That's such a cute. I got this. But I mean, I really like that paint shell from Tasty in that 3v2 situation in order to force those 2 players back right into the line of sight. Smelly, who they did not expect on the flank. Flanks are really common on Vine, but unfortunately for the side of Noxious, they weren't expecting that from Smelly whatsoever. And one of those players got caught out from that Wappa, and the situation was a little bit too, but decided to just save the gun instead. And you're right, it is a buy for a friend situation. Everybody has full shields at the moment, so nobody left weaker in the gunfights. So this will be a heavily consistent spot goes to clear out Smelly, but Toshi hit.
Very good hold together, able to trade off there. I think that was a Prowler invested into A short here to make sure that that lamps is clear. The nades get invested, so now Yasser needs to reposition and move on over. The rest of the attackers are going to be here on site. All-Star does have that orbital strike, and if he were to pop it into A short, he could potentially get the kill, but he got kind of sidetracked with
planted.
whoever was in Shower's guild, though. Does not get sidetracked. Gets Jamie out of this map. It's going to be a 3-on-2.
Last player standing.
Make that a 3-on-1 as Smelly once again left alone to clear up town here onto the safe side. Here's the wrong way. Does a little bit of wallbang damage. Not enough, though. And now just waits to see if anyone pushes. We know Noxious is very aggressive. They're actually going to be using the Trailblazer to clear up lamps, which gives away the position of Smelly. And with this round putting us on to the match point, it is economy a little bit better for the side of Noxious. And
Match point.
something that we feared a little bit for the side of Nameless is their janky bike coming out for the last round.
I should play some
They avoided it once.
You sounded so frustrated when you said it. And now, what we fear, and then I just heard the clap. Like, now what we fear is the janky buy from Nameless. I mean, it's yeah, I get it, I understand. Operator still in the hand of Yasser, who was very instrumental in that post plant, as not really post plant, but denying any type of retake from not Nameless onto their own site. You saw a couple of those matches. Felt like Noxious as a whole did a good job.
Noxious hit that they have
Strike
never
down.
done. Goes a little bit gray as their lead member Yasser goes down. Tasty gets away with 26 health and a dream. I don't know how Smelly got a kill there, but Smelly secured a kill there, and I think maybe they were able to pick up some weapons off of those dead bodies. Yeah. Smelly was able to pick up that Phantom, and Tasty has a Vandal in hand. Toshi with a really late flank, also has a late storm in hand, waiting for the perfect moment to peek onto a short, but this is kind of hard because nobody from Nameless could peek a short to give Toshi the assertment that yes, indeed,
30
there is
seconds
someone
left.
there. Ostino worried so much about
One enemy remaining.
control, able to get 2, make that 3, and kill, cleans up town, left on Wappa, and just like that, they manage. Nameless has 9 lives. They must be a cat. They just must be.
Is, you know, I did this in the last. I have my fist clenched like I'm Arthur right now, like that Arthur meme. Like,
30
I'm guessing
seconds
that's what
left.
Noxious is right now. They're Arthur, but their fist clenched.
One enemy remaining.
It's just slowly zooming in on that fist.
Keep up.
Because that flank from Smelly, oh my god, from Toshi was just huge. Obviously.
Go get 'em.
Right, it got like 2 picks with the Blaze Storm. Silent as a and just really good from Nameless Esports. Entry or the focus for Noxious is going to be towards this B site again. Focus controlled, but the Viper's pit makes that damn near impossible. So now these Noxious Esports players are going to be boxed off of mid. If they are going to go for B, then they're going to have to approach in to garden itself, and they'll be running right into the right into the line of fire of Toshi is watching it in the middle of that B site. So I think A is a bit of a better choice, but they have so many angles to clear over by A as well.
Oh, the Prowler. The Prowler gets invested into Hookah. Now it's going to be a reposition for the Viper. It leaves the Viper's pit, allows for Noxious to get this Hookah control very deep in there. The whole gang is actually in there, so as soon as this wall comes down, Viper's trying to get in there. It's going to be the Headhunter who connects. Going to push onto the side. Toshi has to reposition because he's getting sandwiched from Garden and Hookah.
30
Now the
seconds
side
left.
is full in control of Noxious, and Tasty trying to just
Spike
dash into the
planted.
site, give away some information. There was the Seekers being used onto the A site, gave away the position of the rest of Nameless lurking about CT. Yasser gets the kill onto Tasty. Gil gonna be the next to peek, but hey, the whole gang is in
Flawless.
town. And just like that, we
Attackers
thought
win.
that Noxious was gonna get dethroned, but not today. Not today.
An incredible game, an incredible series. We're back again, and my God, a lot closer than I thought any of us thought it was going to be this evening. That does not look like a 4th place team, but Noxious, they did pull it together. They were able to close it out, and it did end up being 2-1 for Noxious. So hey, you know what? We take those. We take those predictions when they come through. But super fun stuff. In a few short moments, we're gonna have the MVP poll popping as you know, the time delay does catch up. So we have a couple moments to chat about what we saw this past game, what we saw this series. What do you think are standout moments where our standout players were? You can pick from any one of the three there. We'll start with you, cute noob.
Tasty is has to be one of the best raises I have ever seen. The fact that he got so many paint shell kills, I don't think I've seen a raise hit so many paint shell kills in my life. Also, showstopper kills as well. Just phenomenally done. I have to give a round of applause. Also, Toshi, even though not at the top of the leaderboard for this specific map, Toshi had very important moments, at least for Nameless. So I'm really happy that I got to see Nameless. It would have been a team that I would have never even known about and players I would have never known about. So it's really nice to see them be here and shine through. As far as Noxus, obviously Yasser is in my opinion, the MVP. I don't know who wins in the chat. My opinion though, Yasser, you have my vote for team MVP, and I want to say round of applause to McLovin Knee for coming in here and subbing in for Rex, someone that we were super stoked to see play, but you
Mhm.
stepped in and did just as phenomenal. So I think that's a treat in itself as well.
Awesome stuff. 1B, thoughts about those games, those players, and that series we just saw.
Oh my god, I just muted myself. I'm
You're good.
so
You're good.
sorry. I heard
Just
myself.
like appalled.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my god. I did this yesterday as well, where like it was like right in the middle. I just like turned off my brain and I was like, okay, mute. But I'm I don't know. I'm so happy that I got to watch this match. I think this is probably one of my favorite Valorant ever. And I really had a lot of there were obviously a lot of positives for both teams, as you know, as there is negatives, but I felt like the positives most definitely outweigh those negatives. And I felt like both teams had players who showed up today. A player that really surprised me a little bit was a player that I wasn't even watching out for, which was Wappa. I mean, he showed up in a numerous amounts of days on those initiator roles, and he got a lot of multi kills on Bind in particular. I don't remember what his kill record was on Split, but I remember he did play pretty well on that map. His movement, everything that he did was just pretty well. Smelly was really decent on a Viper as well. There were a lot of times where he did get a little bit over aggressive, a little bit for my liking, or where he probably shouldn't have played, or at least on Bind, where he used the Viper's pit a little bit too early, or when he did use it, he played out of it, which is what you don't see your Viper do, and probably gave up a lot of easy control to just on attacking rounds. But overall, I really, really did enjoy the game from both of these teams. And it's a shame for Nameless that they won't be able to make playoffs, but for Noxious, I mean, maybe this is a tale for times to come. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, across the board, just crazy stuff like satchel kills. When's the last time you've seen a
Yeah,
raised satchel kill? That is just bonkers to me.
that's
But
true.
like even Jay Wu was having some incredible rounds there on Bind too. Gil across the night, even though it wasn't every single round, the rounds they stood out were just like, oh my god, you guys, absolutely ridiculous. But I do want to just make one little just a little point there about playoffs. It is going to depend on how those fifth, sixth place teams did do this
Hmm.
evening as well, too. As well as the third place team, which I believe is CSL. If I check my facts super duper quick, UCD, wrong one, wrong one. There's a lot of teams here in Victoris, but yeah, it is going to depend on how those teams do, and it is the top six that make it into playoffs, with 1 and 2 getting a bye into quarterfinals. So I don't know if necessarily playoff streams are dash. It is making it a little bit more risky come week
Hmm.
9 when you're down at that 3-4 stage. There's another team that's also sitting at 3-4.
Hmm.
So potential close calls there. You don't want that extra added stress. But I mean, the pressure that I believe we saw Nameless Esports face tonight, they did pretty damn well good with it. Took the first map as well, and none of those maps were a complete blowout like Nameless Esports. gave Noxious a run for the money, made them work for it, and said, "No, no, you cannot just rely on your gunplay. You got to make the teamwork work in this situation." And yeah, I think I started noticing it in game 2 and, game 3 as well too, is just that communication of having those Astra smokes essentially come down exactly precisely when your team is, making their entrances. Um, Again, just one small sign of the communication I saw that we can at least observe from our end of things, but, yeah, there must have been a little talk between game 1 and game 2. It's like, "Okay, we are a team. We play as team. Let's go team."
Yeah.
Mm,
That easy.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, it's great work. I think right now though, MVP poll should be actually coming to a close. So
Ooh.
once we have that ready to go, we are gonna in fact bring that up on the board. Producer, are we ready to go? I think so. I think so. Yes, there we go. Yasser with the MVP. Congratulations, Noxus, on the win. And of course, Yasser on the MVP. 2016 and 5. I believe that chamber game was quite impressive. I mean, just anybody's aim out here is ridiculous. But when you can see those quick flicks with an op and they don't miss. That's the scary part. 90% of the times these guys do not miss. So it's really incredible to see that too. But great stuff from Noxus here. They continue their spree. They are 7-0 now in the standings, which is definitely going to be interesting as well too to see how Akuma did after tonight to see if both of these teams are still 7-0, if they will have potential tiebreaker implications come week 9 next week, and what that's going to mean for seeding. Both of them, I think, at this point should be feeling comfortable getting into that bye to quarterfinals, but it's going to be a matter of who is first, who is second, who's going to take that, I say easier seed in the matchup, but based on what we see from these teams, regardless of position in their rankings, everybody's got some gas and everybody's tanks are full right now. So I'm so excited to see what comes in 2 weeks for playoffs. But my friends, that in fact will wrap it up here for us tonight. Any other final points, thoughts, comments, feelings that you want to share with the Twitch stream tonight? We'll head back to you, 1B.
Um, I mean, I said I really do feel sorry for Nameless. I know I voted against them, but I felt like they really did give us a game. They most definitely did trump my expectations, especially due to the recent results that they did suffer. And also their stats compared to Noxious, and this just shows us that it doesn't matter what the stats are. If a day is a good day for you, like fix your mistakes mid game and talk it through, then you'll pull off results like that. But I feel sorry for them. As for Noxious, I mean, you know, a good VOD, a good sweep of this VOD, and you'll probably when it comes to playoffs, because I feel like if they make better team, and oh my god, against teams that are higher up in their standings, such as in Group A or Group B. And when it comes to the playoffs, since they're basically qualified, um, they'll probably suffer like either a really big loss or hard time qualifying through rounds.
Mhm. It does, right? We were talking about it last night on the stream. Marathon, not a sprint, especially in these series. Round of 12, quarterfinals being best of threes, but once you hit that semifinals, those best of fives can really show and expose a few weaknesses in those teams that aren't either used to that longer format or
Mm-hmm.
need the mental fortitude to make it through. But we've got, I think, a lot of strong teams here in VLS. It is just incredible seeing that absolute monstrosity skill level out here, and just the angles that they take, the placement of the crosshairs. They just know where people are going to be. They know the natural flow of this game, and it is a pleasure to watch it every single time I'm back here for VLS. But Q Noob, you got the final mic here of the night. Any thoughts, feelings about?
No, I'm just super excited for playoffs. I know we still have one more week of the oh, why am I brain farting
Regulation?
on the word? Yeah.
Yeah,
Regular regulation. Regular regulation, is that the word? Yeah.
kind of.
We'll go with
Yeah.
that. We'll go with that. So we still have one more week. So the fact that we still have one more week, they're still able to, like you said, secure their spot. This was a loss. This was a lesson to be learned. A lot of VOD reviewing will make it. I mean, they didn't. You said it. They didn't lose by a lot. So
Hmm.
to go pretty head to head with the top leading team, it means that you have some really, really good strats. You have some really good potential. So you just got to polish it out and be ready once you make the if and once you make those playoffs to make a comeback. So I'm just excited to see them. And as always, it was a pleasure to work alongside you guys. You guys are always great. And our beautiful producer in the above or beyond, I don't know, fantastic, somewhere around there.
It is always incredible to work with you guys, and always nice having our little spring crew back together. But yeah, in terms for playoffs, right? That's versus VRS, how we saw last night, the top 4 teams from each groups. This is the top 6, and I'm just using the comparison because we do technically only have the 2 Valorant leagues to compare them to each other. But it was the 3rd and 4th seed team that made it to grand finals. You never really know when you get to playoffs, especially when you're seeing stuff like this, where in a longer stretch of games, you might have that team that's able to come out on top, whether or not you have that stronger team individually in individual games. That longer standing team might be the one to make it through. But Cinderella stories always possible. Potential upsets. It's playoffs very soon, but yeah, one more week to go, and we'll be back here next Thursday for more VLS action. Don't forget, there's one more stream this week. We got them Monday to Friday, but tomorrow's Friday, VTS. So make sure to tune in right here on the main channel for that. And we will see you guys next time. Thank you for tuning in, and have a wonderful evening.